Now we're going to hear Senate Bill 375. This is our final item for today. This is a bill I have authored, and at this time I'll turn the gavel over to Senator Hutton, that I may present testimony to the committee with Senator Drake.
Well, Chairman Tomczyk, Vice Chair Hutton, and members of the Senate Committee on Transportation and Local Government, thank you for holding a public hearing on Senate Bill 375. I'd also like to thank the Summerfest President and CEO, Sarah Vencheri, and her amazing team for hosting this public hearing. My name is Dora Drake. I'm the state senator for the 4th Senate District, which I'm truly proud to represent, and it comprises the north and northwestern portions of Milwaukee County. Well, I sit before you today in strong support of the Safe Roads, Safe Lives Act, an essential piece of legislation designed to safeguard our streets, protect our families, and create a culture of accountability on our roads to end reckless driving. Over the past 5 years, a staggering 1,166 people in Milwaukee have either lost their lives or have endured life-altering injuries due to speed-related traffic crashes. This isn't just a statistic. These are our neighbors, our friends, our loved ones. And while traffic-related deaths have decreased by 6% across the state, Milwaukee's average has surged by an alarming 86% since 2012. Unfortunately, death has no favoritism, and this is unacceptable. And it's time for action. The Safe Roads, Safe Lives Act is not only just bipartisan, but it empowers cities like Milwaukee to deploy speed, safety, and red light cameras, not as a means to generate revenue, but to deter reckless driving and prevent tragedies before they even happen. This legislation is about changing dangerous habits and ensuring that everyone, regardless of where they live, can cross the street or drive to work, school, or church without fear. This bill directly addresses the disparities that we see in traffic-related incidents. In my district, the 4th Senate District, Black residents face fatal crashes rates more than double those of white residents. People walking in low-income communities are 3 times more likely to be killed. This legislation aims to reduce these inequities by fostering safer environments for all. Most importantly, this bill places the power and the responsibility where it belongs, at the local level. The Common Council and the Mayor will have full control over system policies with requirements for community transparency, public input, and regular reporting to ensure accountability. There are some comments and maybe misconceived notions regarding this legislation that I do want to address. First, in regards to civil rights concerns and privacy concerns that I have shared, I don't question that there have been policies and practices that have been made under the guise of public safety that have resulted in unintended consequences. However, unlike historic legislation, this bill requires community oversight and transparency throughout the whole process. In addition to a robust public information campaign, the Common Council will have responsibility for oversight and ordinances, ensuring that residents have direct access to this process. This legislation also limits the amount of cameras that can be placed to no more than 5 aldermanic districts. Secondly, this legislation has been called a cash cow, but that can be far from the reality. In addition to its limitations, this program is designed to change habits and pay for itself. Revenue collected through potential tickets is limited to paying for the system, as well as traffic infrastructure, control, safety programs, and law enforcement. Remaining funds generated cannot be spent anywhere else. Lastly, there is a concern that these cameras will not stop someone who may steal a car and goes for a joyride over 100 miles per hour down the street. And I want to make sure I make this clear to this committee and my colleagues to our community. Reckless driving and excessive speeding is not limited to just criminals who steal cars or are fleeing the scene of a crime. There are everyday people who are speeding to get to work or home because they are late or because the flow of traffic itself is moving faster than the speed limit, many of whom studies have shown live outside of our neighborhoods. And again, with this legislation, it signifies that we have a cultural problem, and this is a way to address it. When you get pulled over going over 90 miles per hour down the interstate by State Patrol, after someone pays their ticket, the vast majority don't go back to speeding 90 miles per hour. They slow down. And an example is maybe an individual is using the Waze app for GPS, and they can identify if there's law enforcement potentially on the route. The majority of people do slow down. And that's what this system is designed to do above all things, is to ensure that we're giving our local government the tools necessary to not just provide public safety, but fairness and changing our culture for everybody. I'm proud to author this legislation because it incorporates the feedback that we have taken from multiple groups, community members, and advocates across Milwaukee. And as a result, this bill will give our local government and community members the tool necessary to combat reckless driving, change habits, and save lives. And together, I do believe that we can save lives, reduce injuries, and create a safer, more equitable Wisconsin. And again, I want to thank the chairman for leading this legislation with me, and I urge my colleagues on this committee to support the Safe Roads, Save Lives Act and to take the necessary steps to end this deadly epidemic. Thank you.
Well, I'm very happy to be here in Milwaukee. Milwaukee is where I started my working career and my adult life. I obtained my first mortgage not 5 miles west of here near Hawley Road. However, Milwaukee has changed a lot since I've lived here. It faces challenges that we don't have up north in central Wisconsin. That doesn't mean that those challenges aren't important, and that doesn't mean that the legislature shouldn't do what it can to help the people of Milwaukee live in a safer community. We're constantly told that Milwaukee is the economic engine of the state. If that is the case, the Milwaukee's people, let's help Milwaukee's people make their city safer to live in so they can keep that engine running. As a conservative, having more cameras watching our every move is not ideal. But unfortunately, in this modern world, cameras are everywhere, and that train has left the station. When it comes to the safety of Milwaukee residents and visitors, having a few more mechanical eyes watching is something we can live with. When people are afraid to visit simply to go out to dinner at one of the multitudes of great dining places the city has to offer, or enjoy one of our state's crown jewels by visiting Summerfest, the city suffers and tax revenues decline. SB 375 allows the city of Milwaukee to use two systems to improve safety: a speed safety camera system, or SSCS, for speed limit violations, and a traffic control photographic system, or a TCPS, to catch red light violators. Under this bill, a citation could only be issued using the speed cameras if the vehicle is caught traveling 15 miles per hour over the speed limit. The red light cameras would automatically take photographs of vehicles driving through red lights and will ticket the vehicle owner for violations. The forfeiture money collected using the TCPS and the SSCS systems must be used to implement and operate the systems. After those costs have been paid, the money may only be used for traffic enforcement, traffic safety programs, and traffic safety infrastructure. Both of these programs would sunset 5 years after their creation in order to determine if they have worked or not. I know that should this bill be signed into law, this will not solve the traffic violation problems in Milwaukee, but it is a tool in the toolbox that law enforcement can use to try and make the streets a little safer. I also know that I will take criticism from my own party for authoring this bill, and that's okay. We need debate and discussion on issues such as these, and I welcome that discussion. I do hope you'll support this bill and the potential tools it gives to the law enforcement community to help fight the safety traffic issues that hurt Milwaukee. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Drake and Senator Tomczyk. With that, we'll open it up to any questions from the committee before we release these two. Okay, seeing none, we're released. Senator Drake?
I just wanted to make a comment. I do have fact sheets on what the piece of legislation has, so if members of the committee or the general public would like that, more than happy to share that information with everyone.
Great, appreciate the update on that. We do have one question from Senator Weingard.
And I'll address some of these other things that you guys have talked about in your testimony a little later on in this hearing. But Senator Drake, on page 2 of your statement, third paragraph, you say, when you get pulled over going 90 miles per hour down the interstate by a state patrol, after someone pays their ticket, the vast majority don't go back speeding 90 miles per hour. They slow down. Definitely. And when an individual is using the Waze GPS app and they see a cop is potentially on their route, a majority of those people don't hit the gas. They slow down. But that involves a police officer making an actual interaction with the offender at the time the violation is occurring, not a citation of being sent to the vehicle owner. Maybe you got the plate, maybe you didn't, maybe it's right, maybe it's not. How do you explain that? I mean, to me, the most important interaction, if we're going to have a change in attitude and a change in the culture for how people are driving in any location, it's important for me to have an officer involved in that process. As a traffic investigator for most of my law enforcement career, having taught this all over the state at the Traffic Institute, Northwestern, et cetera, it's obvious that when you have an interaction right then and there, you change the attitudes of those drivers. You and I have had this discussion before. And I see the fact that we're 250 some officers short in the city of Milwaukee right now, and that's about 500,000 hours of patrol time possible that those officers could have been on the street stopping traffic violators. Traffic violators, the ones that are doing these reckless driving, believe me, they're going to continue to drive at 80, 90 miles an hour through the city if there's a camera, because they probably got illegal plates, stolen car, et cetera, et cetera. The chief will probably talk about that. I hope he does. But that's the fact, that without those officers making those traffic stops every day in the city, being visible, being a deterrent, those people are going to just continue to operate recklessly. You're going to have people getting hurt. I don't know how many, I did 141 homicides with motor vehicles in my traffic career, and it's never nice to go talk to the people that ended up having a family member die because of some knucklehead driving at excessive speed. It doesn't get any easier. But in the same respect, snapping a picture maybe and getting a picture of a vehicle, not necessarily the person, that's not going to stop that person from operating recklessly unless you get a squad car behind them getting pulled over. So how do you anticipate that throwing cameras up in only 5 districts, and I'm going to be real interested to see how those districts would be selected. Maybe you could tell us how that would happen, because as I'm looking at all the studies that I have, it shows disproportionate citations being issued to black and brown people in those areas, and then they can't pay their fines, so now they get increased fees, and it hammers that little guy that's living in those districts that we're trying to protect. We throw a camera up, does that stop somebody from firing a gun in that neighborhood? No, the officer on the beat does. So I would rather see officers in those districts where we have a high crime rate, where we have high traffic issues. We ran speed waves. I administered grants from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration to put officers on the street in areas where we had high speed or we had high crash areas. We did the EASY program in Racine and reduced crashes on those intersections by 75% within a couple months. I mean, and that went on and worked for years. So there's other ways of doing this. Adding a second, 1 second to the yellow cycle on the automatic signals on the intersections reduces traffic crashes at those intersections by 40% by adding 1 second. Our state went to a 1 second red all the way around. A couple intersections, I think, have 2 second reds all the way around because they're really wide intersections. So everybody should be stopped and not entering an intersection by somebody blowing the light. So there's other ways to do this. I guess I'd be interested to just hear how these cameras are going to just stop these reckless drivers that they don't identify. So maybe you can tell me.
So Senator Weingart, thank you for your comments and questions. To your point about law enforcement, just last session, there's already a piece of legislation where our local governments were asking for increased shared revenue, and the city of Milwaukee, well, the state did provide additional folks in law enforcement, so we did do that for them, first and foremost. Secondly, in terms of reckless driving, there are many other pertinent issues and heinous crimes that our law enforcement deals with. If you talk about gun violence, sexual assault. Those are things that our officers are doing to the best of their ability. To have them to address every single traffic incident on top of the different crimes that our city deals with, I think is a lack of efficiency of when it comes to the resources that they have at their disposal. What they're asking for is other tools used so that way they can adequately address the issues while focusing their efforts on ensuring that the people that are causing the most harm are dealt with efficiently. And you mentioned the example that I gave about Waze, right? With Waze, I think a lot of folks use that for traveling. That's State Patrol, right? Milwaukee doesn't get that amount of resources. And so I think it's a larger conversation of not just the resources that we allocate to our local governments, but again, ensuring that how can we adequately use our tools to ensure that there's public safety for reckless driving. And to be frank, too, I'm a firm believer that having a law enforcement at every incident does not address the issue. And I'm sure they'll testify more to this, but many of our law enforcement officers cannot deal with the impact of what's happening right now. This is a tool that gives them the ability to not just focus on public safety measures when it comes to reckless driving, but also looking at other traffic infrastructure opportunities. All methods can work to ensure that there's preventative safety measures, is my personal belief. And in terms of how these cameras would be set up, again, that is through the mayor and the common council. I believe that there should be local government and local control. And so there is already a legislative process that they have within their own authority to ensure that. And in terms of, some of the specifics and intersections, we already highlight what where those most dangerous intersections will be. So from the research that is out there to the public debate that I think is necessary, which is government, I believe that we've addressed all the concerns that have been brought up in years past. And I think that's why I'm excited we even got to this point. But I hope that you'll hear from many other people behind me that will testify to maybe some of the concerns about research, law enforcement, and honestly, a holistic approach to public safety.
So we did that. We gave Milwaukee shared revenue, big increase so they could staff up. That hasn't happened. We gave them money for the resource officers. That didn't happen. We extended a $500,000 grant for COP houses to help take some of the pressure off on one of the inner city districts. That hasn't happened. We gave them a 2% ability to tax themselves, and that got spent wherever. And so when you look at the resources they've been given, the monetary resources, now we want to give them more money.
Well, Frank,
I mean, Fond du Lac County, here's a great example. Fond du Lac County has 74 traffic stops in Fond du Lac County that yielded 57 arrests. So that means that by going out and being proactive and doing a traffic stop right then and there for these irresponsible drivers over the speed limit, driving recklessly, you're going to pull the person that's revoked, suspended, has warrants, is carrying a gun, is a drug dealer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We did that. Racine County, we had a problem with speeding on the interstate. We put 2 officers up there on overtime. They couldn't handle it. We had to put 4 up there. So now there's 4 officers, at least 4 deputies that work that section of the interstate, and more than pays for itself in what they make an arrest to get those reckless drivers off the Racine County Road on 894. So there are ways of dealing with that, but again, just increasing the ability to ticket somebody, and the people that are going to get hammered are the little guy. The one that's responsible has a plate on his car that's legible, that does their registration of their vehicle. They're the ones that we're supposed to be protecting, and I don't see how this is going to protect them by just snapping a picture and sending them out a ticket by a third-party vendor that's going to charge us for that. So, I mean, this might be a tool if you're using it directly with an officer involved making that stop. We have speed trailers now that you can set up in a neighborhood that can track vehicles traveling at excessive speeds during the time of the day, the lane that they're traveling in. They can grab plate numbers. So from 6:30 to 7 o'clock in the morning, when some knucklehead's going through the neighborhood at 60 miles an hour in a 30-mile-an-hour zone, each day. You know that between this time frame, it's that vehicle with that plate. You could have an officer work in that area for those speeders at that time of day when you know that those speeders are out there. There are ways of addressing this. If we had a traffic unit, that would make that happen. We did that in Racine. It was very, very impactful. But I don't see taking a picture as a way to solve it here. It's a cash cow. Look at Chicago. Chicago was going to eliminate their cameras. That's what the mayor said he was going to do, and now he's putting, I don't know, another 50 or 60 or 90 cameras in because they didn't make enough money. And they lowered the speed for the violations down to lower now. So they're going to start hammering the ones that are 6 and 7 miles over the speed limit. So, just saying, I'd rather have an officer there than take a snapshot and mail the owner the ticket.
Well, I hear your comments and thank you for them. I guess I'll leave you with this. And I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm pretty sure the population for Fond du Lac and Racine do not match the capacity of Milwaukee, first and foremost. Secondly, when you mentioned about folks that would be charged, for the citation, and if it was, and say you have someone else driving their vehicle, under this bill, the only defense for an owner who has not controlled the vehicle is if your vehicle was stolen, if you're leasing your vehicle, or the vehicle owner is the dealer. So there are protections involved for people that were not the cause of it as well. And I leave you with this. Different communities need different tools due to the capacity that they have. Milwaukee is the largest city in our state. Let's give them the resources to do that.
Any other questions from the committee? Any other questions for the senators on the phone? Okay, hearing none, you both are dismissed temporarily.
Dismissed.
Temporarily.
Who's first? All right, moving on with testimony on SB 375. Well, Mayor Cavalier, thank you for being here. Welcome your testimony. Speaking in favor. And you brought help.
Speaking in favor, yes. This is Katie Yeager from my Intergovernmental Relations team. Thank you, Senator Tomczyk, Vice Chair Hudden, members of the Committee on Transportation, Local Government, for holding this really, really important hearing here in Milwaukee on the Safe Streets, Save Lives Act, which would authorize us at the City of Milwaukee to implement a traffic safety camera pilot program. I'm Mayor Cavalier Johnson, and I appreciate the opportunity to testify in strong support of Senate Bill 375 because the City of Milwaukee needs this proven tool to add to our toolbox to continue working towards our Vision Zero goal of having zero traffic-related deaths and life-changing injuries. Milwaukee is committed to Vision Zero. The goal is especially important in our community because just last year, 74 people lost their lives in crashes in Milwaukee. Now that's compared to 164 people who lost their lives in traffic crashes in the state of Wisconsin. So if you look at that, that means that nearly half of Wisconsin's traffic fatalities happened here in our city. And we cannot accept this level of loss. Speed is the single most significant factor in traffic fatalities and severe injuries in Milwaukee, and not just in Milwaukee, but really throughout the state of Wisconsin. We've mobilized every city department to reduce traffic violence. The Milwaukee Department of Public Works is prioritizing safety over speed in street design. The Department of City Development is investing in these street projects to create safety as well. I have funded full police recruiting classes to strengthen enforcement, while the police department itself has streamlined the unlicensed driving process to keep dangerous drivers off of our roads. The Milwaukee Fire Department now equips ambulances with whole blood for trauma patients, and our Milwaukee Health Department analyzes data and convenes community partners to prevent crashes before they occur. These strategies have contributed to a 7% reduction in traffic deaths from 2023 to 2024. But despite our efforts, dangerous driving, of course, still persists. And that's why I'm here today to ask you to support SB 375. The The Safe Systems approach behind Vision Zero recognizes that no single measure is enough, and that progress comes from layering multiple interventions so they reinforce one another. Now, we're implementing every change possible within our scope, and we're also requesting the ability to add traffic safety cameras as another tool that we can layer, strengthening our efforts to advance our Vision Zero goals and to save lives. I'll close with this, that traffic safety cameras are a proven, evidence-based solution. In hundreds of other communities, these cameras have reduced crashes, they've reduced injuries and fatalities. In large urban settings like we have in Milwaukee, they've reduced all crashes by 54%, up to 54%, and injury crashes by up to 47%. So it's clear that more work must be done, but with your support, Milwaukee will be able to pilot this proven tool and really build on the progress we've already made. Traffic safety cameras, they'll save lives, they'll prevent injuries, and they'll help us move closer to achieving our goals under Vision Zero. So I urge you to pass SB 375 so that we can continue to work together to make the streets safer for everyone in Milwaukee and all of the visitors that come to this city each and every single day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate your testimony. Are there any questions from the committee? Questions from the committee? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Senator.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you all.
All right. We have I've just been informed we have a long list of speakers, so this we may go to a time thing. We'll see how we do, though. Our next person speaking in favor is Milwaukee Police Department Chief Jeffrey Norman. Chief.
Welcome, everyone. Good morning. On behalf of the Milwaukee Police Department, I'd like to say thank you, Chair Tomczyk and Vice Chair Hutton and other members of the committee for holding a public hearing on the Safe Street, Save Lives Act, Senate Bill 375, which will authorize the City of Milwaukee to implement a traffic safety camera program in the city. As was announced, I'm the Chief of Milwaukee Police Department, been with the department since 1996, 5 years as Chief, 1 year as acting, another 4 years as permanent. And so I understand the seriousness of this situation. My commitment to public safety which is why I'm testifying in support of SB 375. Traffic violence is one of the most pressing public safety challenges in our city. My fellow officers and I have seen firsthand the death and destruction caused by dangerous driving vehicles, traveling at excessive speeds, drivers running red lights, swerving into oncoming traffic, and even using bike lanes as through lanes. Every officer knows the heartbreak of responding to a fatal or severe crash scene. These are preventable tragedies. Traffic safety cameras are a proven tool to prevent them. Communities across the country have seen long-term reductions in speeding and red light running after cameras are installed. The goal is not tickets, it's about compliance. And compliance saves lives. Cameras are force multipliers for MPD. Even as we grow our police force, we cannot place officers on patrol on every road, at every intersection, or at every school zone at all times. Technology can be in more places at once than officers can physically cover, which extends the reach of public safety. This allows our officers to focus on violent crime, emergency calls, and community engagement instead of routine traffic enforcement. Importantly, traffic safety cameras can also reduce risk to officers. We know that traffic stops can escalate into dangerous situations. Cameras enforce the law without putting officers in harm is a way. MPD has already taken steps to crack down on reckless driving, including improvements to our unlicensed driving ticket process so that dangerous drivers can and are taken off their streets sooner. SB 375 strengthens those efforts by directing citation revenue to MPD's traffic safety unit, increasing our capacity to address the most dangerous drivers in our city. Traffic safety cameras save lives, free up police resources, and reduce risk for officers. I urge your support of SB 375 to give Milwaukee another tool to prevent traffic-related deaths and injuries and to keep our community safer. I thank you all for your attention.
Thank you, Chief. Questions from the committee? Senator Carpenter?
Thank you for being here, Chief. Could you probably go over some of the intersections? I've seen maps in the past where they map out what the top 20 intersections where there are problems with accidents, fatalities, severe injuries. So the cameras could be used in those areas to try and do something to try and make them safer.
So, Senator, I do not have that information available right now, but I know that my team can make it available to you. I am aware there are a number of intersections across the city, both on north side and south side, and so we'll be glad to provide those intersections so you're aware of this, one of the most dangerous intersections out there for your own knowledge there. So we'll be able to provide it later.
Thank you.
Other questions? Senator Wangard?
I have several, actually. Chief, can you tell me the number of traffic officers that are on the street today?
So-
I mean, normally, how many traffic officers for the traffic unit enforcing actual traffic laws are out on the street?
Sorry about that. I didn't mean to interrupt
No,
you, sir. Thank you, Senator.
That's okay.
So I know that we do have a traffic safety unit, which is actually a 10-person unit at this particular time, was a little bit more robust. But to be actually clear, every officer within a patrol division has the ability and expectation to engage in traffic enforcement in regards to the patrol officers on the street, which there's, again, several hundred of officers who are assigned to the patrol division.
Okay, and with the traffic safety unit, do they do special safety enforcement programs out there? What exactly is their mission?
So they have a number of different activities to engage in, but the prime directive is to enforce traffic laws. They are expected to enforce speed violations, help investigate accidents. But at times there can be challenges, as you're aware, that when we have other needs, there's, again, the violent crime issue. We do have, unfortunate firearm issues that they will be taken offline to help in regards to some particular resources.
So people with traffic duties will be funneled into other areas as the need arises for criminal activity or whatever that we're short-staffed in.
So they will be redirected to needs that needs to be addressed, whether it is for, again, responding to violent crime or other traffic issues. They might have worked with, again, we do have a special patrol division where we have motorcycles that help out with duties of traffic-related enforcement. You have large parades or events, so they might be part of that also.
Okay, so Senator Carpenter talked about 20 intersections that were the most dangerous intersections that have been identified in the city. What are you guys doing on those intersections to reduce the amount of crashes in those intersections? Any special programs, any type of enforcement to address or identify what the violations are that are causing those accidents?
So on a regular basis, it is reviewed by our particular, what we call OMAP, for having direction of what those particular intersections are. We do have a crime analyst who is assigned to the traffic safety unit who also assists. So that helps with deployments beyond just the traffic safety unit, but also in regards to our motorcycle officers and also the districts. Again, district level, they do have the ability to enforce, to provide presence, and to understand that there is a need to have attention. But as been stated before, there are more intersections than there are officers. There are more incidents than they can have the ability to take it away out of that situation, which is why when we utilize technology in a way that is enhancing those particular oversight, I'd like to see that technology is the unblinking eye, the ability to continue to have and maintain vigilance just in those circumstances when those specialized units are able to not to be there but help out with the violent crime that we do have within our city, that there is a still continued vigilance going on within our city, expected to be able to enforce those traffic laws that still needs to be enforced, whether we have an officer there or not.
So does the Milwaukee Police Department, do they value traffic enforcement as opposed to, I realize we have to respond to crimes, but do we take a proactive role for traffic enforcement? Because we know that through the broken windows theory, if you're out there enforcing the small stuff, the big stuff follows. An example was what we had in Fond du Lac County with that number of traffic stops and 57 arrests out of only 75 or so traffic stops. This is happening every day in the city of Milwaukee because we're not making traffic stops. So where's the accountability for the traffic unit in if we got 20 intersections, but we don't have enough people to cover 20 intersections, then why aren't we breaking that down to the top 10 and working on it? I mean, we did this in Racine on 10 intersections that were our dangerous intersections, and we reduced the traffic crash in those intersections by 75% in less than 3 months, because we took a proactive approach and assigned officers to do just that, the traffic enforcement. And the traffic enforcement is so important because you pick the bad guys off, you get them off the street. Force multiplier, I don't know how a camera getting a car speeding is going to be a force multiplier to take the reckless driver off the street. They're going to continue to drive reckless unless we get a squad car behind them and get them stopped. Would you agree with that? I mean, it's important to get them stopped?
So I appreciate, your points you're making there, Senator, and
And I'm not against you, Chief. I'm with you.
I hear you. I just always am a little concerned about comparing our city with other cities. I think that's apples against oranges, but I do appreciate the work that my partners down in Racine, I know the chief very well, and I always say this, I'm very proud of the work that the men and women of the Milwaukee Police Department do, 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, holidays included. But we do have limitations in regards to the work that can be done. Under this administration 5 years ago, Traffic Safety Unit was created, so when you talk about the importance, this chief took that particular concern that incoming as an acting chief, hearing the concerns within the community, whether it was about violence, whether it was about reckless driving. Sometimes reckless driving overcame in regards to the concern about firearms or the violence in our city. So it was a comparable concern within the residents, within the community members, business community. That has always been taken seriously. And the numbers and stats reflect that because we are having a good trend, but there's never enough. As the mayor's talked about, we are committed to Vision Zero. Zero is always my number. And whatever tool that we can use to help enhance the work that we're doing, I am all for it. And so when we talk about in regards to the work that they do, they work day and night through rain, sleet, snow, and shine to enforce and hold those accountable. Even that small unit that I talked about, which was robust at 20 down to 10, thousands of citations issued every year. Absolutely proud of that. Because they could take it as, this is overwhelming. I don't know if I can do this continuously, but they continue to lean into the work that we need and respect to see within our community. But we always know we can do more. The people behind me expect more. And this is where I come in to be that voice to say, help us help our community. That there are tools out there, whether a vehicle is a tool that the officers use. Radios is a tool that officers use, enhances the work that we do. Cameras is such that tool. It's not an answer to everything, but it enhances what we do. And so I am very strongly for any tool that will enhance the work that our men and women are doing on a daily basis. Are we working on staffing? Absolutely. Graduating class this Friday. Have another class about to graduate in a couple more months. We lean into that. We understand that. But there are still not enough people stepping up into this realm of this noble profession called law enforcement. And until we get to that particular point, I am absolutely for any tool that will help our men and women carry that load of public safety just a little lighter.
So, Chief, out of those thousands of citations that were issued by the traffic unit, can you maybe go back and look at the stats and see how many individuals were reoffenders that made a direct contact with an officer? As opposed to, I mean, I've got study upon study upon study that says that this doesn't reduce crashes. That matter of fact, it increased crashes, rear end accidents. I've got half a dozen just on this sheet of paper. And my concern is that all of a sudden we tip it to taking a picture like they did in Chicago, and now, they're going from cutting cameras to adding more cameras, and it's impacting the little guy down there, and they're not solving the problem because they don't have the officers on the street to deal with it. And that's my concern, because it makes it less safe for our officers on the street. And I would argue that a traffic stop, you're pulling guns and you're pulling bad guys off the street and locking them up. Court system's another issue. If you're letting them out the door right away, as a repeat offender, that doesn't help the situation either. So that makes the officer on the street's job even more difficult. So I get that, but I would really like to see what kind of stats are there to show maybe what the traffic unit's done, what kind of programs are they doing out there, what works, what doesn't work, I would help you write a grant to put more officers on the street. We did 4-hour blocks of enforcement, and it impacted areas where we had speeders in all different parts of our community down in Racine when we did that. And it was really inexpensive, and it more than paid for itself with the effects of fewer accidents, speed reduction, and the officers did it on overtime. We did it on CDBG grant dollars. So, I mean, we've given the city all kinds of revenue sources to help make that happen. So we need to dip into those that have a sack and take some dollars out to maybe make that happen. So I'd be more than willing to work with you on that.
Are you offering to join the Milwaukee Police Department, Senator?
If I wasn't as old as I was,
Thank you.
I would love to. I'd be very proud to be a Milwaukee police officer. The guys do a great job.
I appreciate that, and definitely I do appreciate in regards to your thoughts and the studies, and as we all know, there are other studies that, again, counter those particular studies in regards to the efficacy of the program, and I get it in regards to there's challenges. Believe me, there's nobody more concerned about the little guy than me. I'm a resident of Milwaukee. I'm not just the chief of the police. I am a resident. My family's a resident. And so these are things that are going to affect my family as well. But there is a thing called personal responsibility. I know you appreciate that as a former officer. That if you loan that vehicle out and that someone wants to drive in an indiscriminate, inhumane manner, you shall and should be held accountable. There is as a life of respect, of humanity, to be able to drive without worry, and that we don't have to have more incidents, especially fatalities of losing a loved one.
I agree.
So I appreciate your comments, sir, but definitely I still say that we still need and can use a red light camera system in our city.
We'll chat you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Vanguard.
Thank you for the latitude.
You're fine. Any other questions? Senator Hutton?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, thank you for being here and for your service here in our community. You mentioned the 4,000-pound weapons going up and down our road, several of which my employees deal with on a daily basis in the city of Milwaukee, as I and my family do. I'm not a resident of the city, but I am in the city often, and driving in the midst of those vehicles. Just literally on Tuesday going east on Good Hope Road, had two guys basically drag racing down Good Hope, heading east to Teutonia, midst of a lot of families that were just trying to get to school, just trying to get to the grocery store. And I don't know if we're at the word epidemic yet, but we're close. And again, nothing you're not aware of and don't see. We're looking to make another significant investment in the city to try to clamp down on reckless driving. And we've all been complaining about this, what seems like for 10 plus years. And it only seems to continue to exasperatingly get worse. Can the city and Chief, if you can't totally understand it, I'd be curious as to what the last three major investments we've made in the city of Milwaukee to clamp down on reckless driving, and what the return on the investment of those initiatives have been. Because I would hope, as we're looking to potentially go down another significant investment an initiative to hopefully address what we all agree is the core fundamental issue. We're also concerned about to make sure that that actually works and it actually has a dividend to it on behalf of all of the folks in the city of Milwaukee. And so I remember all of us bragging about the initiative to put concrete embankments out further into our street. I've watched drivers more than willingly drive over those time after time again on Capitol Drive. Because if it's not their vehicle, they don't really care about the condition of their vehicle other than creating havoc in the city. We'd be curious as to what the ROI has been on that particular initiative as well as any others, because I think it's worthy of us pausing to say, if we're truly looking to address the issue, can we get to the fundamental root cause of it? And those investments that we've made, are they actually paying off literally in terms of families being safer? And I'm concerned that that's not the case, number one, and number two, that we haven't really done the due diligence to understand if those investments have been worthy of all of our time, worthy of all of our tax dollars to actually create anything more significant than we're seeing right now. And so I think that would be my hope and my question, that before we embark on this, that we take a look at what have we done so far and why isn't it working. And I think to Senator Weingard's question, I would also ask that we have some type of transparency reporting on those that we do pull over who are violating our current laws relative to safe driving, and in this case, reckless driving. We have a pretty good tally sheet on those folks who are, in fact, repeat offenders who have been creating chaos in our city for a while, that for whatever reason our judicial system has chosen to continue to be light on relative to sentencing and detention. Because I would tell you, my employees deserve to be able to keep their families safe regardless of the roads that they're on in Milwaukee. And I, along with Senator Weingard, couldn't applaud our folks in law enforcement more for the work that they do, as arduous as it is and as daunting as it is. But at some point in time, we need to be able to see, are we doing the right things now, and are we seeing results? And if not, maybe we need to be reassessing those before we make additional investments.
Right. Well, thank you for the comment. Thank you for the compliment in regards to what our men and women do on a daily basis. I can't talk to it off the top of my head. I know there has been investments, and I know that there's been laws changed, especially in regards to reckless driving and ability to tow. I believe that the most traction we will get is how do we impact the vehicle that's being used in these particular behaviors. When we start talking about the responsibility, especially a 4,000-pound vehicle that when driving recklessly can be a weapon, there is something about taking away that modality that has an impact in regards to people saying, we're taking these behaviors seriously. We all know that these vehicles are used for a lot of different varieties of things, work and play. If you cannot respect the rules of the road, such as in regards to your employees or families or the visitors, and millions of visitors who come to Milwaukee, especially this wonderful place called Summerfest, you don't deserve your car. And so when we have those particular type of laws that have the teeth, be very honest, sir, citations only go so far. You have to respect the legitimacy of that citation to really have the impact. But when you take away someone's vehicle, or even, if it gets that serious, their liberty, someone's going to take notice. And I am all for it in regards to having the empower in regards to those particular tools, again, tools, in the toolbox. But we need to make sure that we are aligned and know that these will be supported by our community and that is reflected within our political allies in regards to understanding that we all need to stand tall in regards to this effort. This is not something that have taken place overnight. It's not something that's going to take away overnight. But I believe that when we start to really get to the bottom of it, that, yeah, maybe you need to use mass transportation. Have somebody else do the driving, and you get off the road. And so what we talk about collaborations, having the ability to affect the modality of what's being utilized, that's bringing a harm of fatalities, or that there's, those serious crashes. Because even if it's not fatality, a crash is serious. That person's going to work, use it to go to school. We should not have that fear. My daughter, who is 17, operates in these roadways. Believe me, there's no more fear than a dad knowing that their loved one is out there operating within these streets. And I will do anything that I can within a legal and constitutional way to ensure that happens.
Great. Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it.
Other questions? Thank you for being here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your work, sir.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you. All right, we will hear testimony from Milwaukee Fire Department Battalion Chief Andrew Hargarden, speaking in favor. Another chief.
Hello, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you, Chairman Tomczyk, Vice Chair Hutton, and members of the Committee on Transportation and Local Government for holding this public hearing on the Safe Streets, Save Lives Act, Senate Bill 375. I serve as Battalion Chief with the Milwaukee Fire Department. We are not an enforcement body. Our mission is prevention, rescue, providing emergency care, and every serious crash is a failure of prevention. Dr. William Hayden demonstrated in 1972 that traffic injuries are not accidents, but preventable events shaped by human, vehicle, and environmental factors before, during, and after a crash. The CDC frames motor vehicle crashes as preventable injury domain, not an inevitability. In Milwaukee County, fatalities have surged. 92 people were killed and 5,757 injury crashes occurred in 2023. Evidence suggests that prevention strategies such as automated enforcement can save lives. Red light cameras are associated with 21% fewer fatal red light running crashes and 14% fewer fatal crashes at signalized intersections overall. The Federal Highway Administration identifies speed cameras as a proven countermeasure with consistent reductions in high-end speeding and injury crashes. Speeding killed 12,151 people in 2022, accounting for 29% of all U.S. traffic deaths. Roadway operations are the #1 traumatic risk for firefighters and EMS responders. Preventing crashes upstream saves lives and reduces exposure for our crews. From 2020 to 2023, nearly 1 in 3 MFD vehicle crashes occurred at intersections. Each year, we also respond to more than 4,000 intersection crashes and over 560 extrications. These are preventable tragedies that tie up resources and put crews at risk. When those collisions involve our own vehicles, the burden is doubled. Victims in other vehicles face injury or death, while citizens face a delayed response because critical units are out of service. Intersection crashes therefore amplify the health burden on both responders and the public. Prevention through measures like SB 375 addresses both sides of that burden. I also bring training as a registered nurse, a doctor of nursing practice, and a master's degree from the Center of Homeland Defense and Security. That background has taught me that healthier populations with less trauma are more resilient populations, better prepared to withstand natural, domestic, or foreign threats. The vision of prevention and resilience aligns directly with the Milwaukee Fire Department's mission. SB 375 is not about punishment, it's about prevention, public health, saving lives before we arrive. For the Milwaukee Fire Department, success is characterized by fewer trauma calls, fewer extrications, faster response times to fires and medical emergencies, and fewer fatalities. That is why we support SB 375. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Questions from the committee? I just going to let you off easy.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. Okay. Oh, we have aldermen in the house. Alderman Chambers and Alderman Berg. Are you guys coming together, or you want to go separate? Up to you guys.
We work together all the time. Thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Chair, members of the committee. My name is Alderman Peter Bergelis. I represent the southwest side of Milwaukee. I'm also Vice Chair of the Common Council's Public Safety Committee. Every week in Milwaukee, someone is seriously injured or worse, simply just trying to get to where they're going. We've all seen it. Drivers flying down wide streets, cutting through neighborhoods, blowing through red lights. And too often, those streets run through our most underserved communities, the same places that have endured decades of infrastructure neglect. Traffic safety cameras will give us a proven data-driven way to stop that. This is not punishment, like the battalion chief said. This is prevention. The U.S. DOT reports that fixed speed cameras reduce all crashes by 54% and injury crashes by nearly half on urban roads. Had Milwaukee been allowed to use this technology in recent years, we would have prevented over 2,500 injuries. 2,500 of our neighbors, friends, and family spared that trauma. 29 states and Washington, D.C. already use speed safety cameras. They have the data. They have results that are consistent. Fewer crashes, fewer injuries, and fewer funerals. It's time Wisconsin caught up, and frankly, I think it's unethical to withhold a tool that has been proven to save lives, especially in communities like Milwaukee. Automated enforcement applies the same standard to everyone. No profiling, no personal discretion, just safer streets. These programs can be implemented equitably. We'll place cameras based on data, speeding, and crash records, not demographics. In other cities, most citations go to vehicles passing through, not residents. In DC, 80% of tickets were issued to non-local drivers. In New York, there was no correlation between camera locations and race or income. Senator Drake's proposal prioritizes behavior change over punishment. No license suspension, no points, and fines handled by municipal court with a flexibility for payment plans. Over time, as drivers slow down, citation revenue actually drops. That's the goal. Fewer tickets because behavior improves and people are driving safer. Before anything goes live, we'll conduct broad community engagement and a public education campaign, including a fair warning period. The city will publish regular reports ensuring transparency and accountability. This is about saving lives, especially the lives of our most vulnerable neighbors, children walking to school, elders crossing the street, and local road users who are killed in crashes at twice the national rate. So I urge you to support this bill. Let's give Milwaukee and every Wisconsin city the freedom to protect our residents with the same proven tools that are already saving lives across the country. We have the data, we have the public demand. All we need is the legislative permission to act. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Mark Chambers, and I serve as the 2nd District Alderman in the City of Milwaukee. I want to begin by extending particular thanks to you, Mr. Chairman, for scheduling this hearing and co-sponsoring with Senator Dora Drake and your leadership in searching for sustainable, bipartisan solutions to our shared problems. I trust I need to persuade no one on this honorable body of seriousness of reckless driving in all of our communities. This is not a Milwaukee, Madison, Fond du Lac, Manitowoc problem. Any review of literature will show that it's a national problem and the municipalities of all sizes are looking for solutions. I will paraphrase Assistant Nicole Wallner, what she stated while being on a different issue, but it shares the same equal sentiment in the city of Milwaukee. I can put an officer in every corner, and that would not stop the worst offenders. So this bill before you is not hastily drawn. It was carefully considered, and the context reflects this. It strikes a balance between the needs to improve safety of our streets with proper notification of the public and safeguards aimed at preserving our jealous guarded civil liberties, including the right to privacy. It aims at the worst offenders, those very few who do so much damage in so little time. I have the undubious pleasure of having 2 police officers die in my district. Officer Chucky Irvin on 76th and Silver Spring, and Officer Cool on 60th and Capitol. That could have easily been prevented if measures were in place to change behaviors, such as red light cameras or anything of that nature. So no one should be traveling over 40, 50 miles per hour in the school zone, and no one should feel free to ignore red lights with impunity. And while I sincerely believe this bill will benefit all communities, it is uniquely positioned to assist people with lower incomes and people of color. It is no secret that African Americans have doubled the fatal crash rate of their white counterparts. And it is fact that people when walking in lower income neighborhoods are 3 times more likely to be killed by a vehicle. We just recently had that on Valise Street. This bill would not end reckless driving. It is, however, a careful, evidence-based step forward towards addressing a problem we cannot afford to ignore. I urge you to support this, and thank you for your consideration.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of this honorable body. Calvin Lee with the City of Milwaukee Legislative Affairs Division. I don't think I need to actually add to this. Council members fully do support this particular piece of legislation. Give a short shout out to my colleagues from IRD, obviously Katie Yeager, Jordan Primico, and my other colleague, Justin Morales, who assists with me representing council. But we do want to urge you to support this bill, provide us the tools necessary so that we can take care of our residents in this city and surrounding areas.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from the committee? Senator Carpenter?
Thank you for being here, and thank the chair also for finally bringing the bill up that's been introduced in the past. It has never been given a public hearing. And I've noticed from constituent surveys that in the past there was some concern, but now, given the state of what's happening in Milwaukee, the level of support for red light cameras is going up.
Absolutely.
And I actually Googled to find out what the 25 worst or accident prone roads were. And so it's very frustrating. I know you have.
Yeah, I have a number of those.
Yep, and just part of Alderman Vergelis is in my district, 27th Street, which is known as Lincoln Boulevard, Miller Parkway, South 60th, Holly Road, where the chairperson knows the neighborhood, Lincoln Avenue, South 76th Street, Clayton Avenue, National Avenue, and that's just in one Senate district. So I'll try and send that around to committee members, but there's no way you could have a police officer at all of these locations. So I kind of put this akin to having a canine dog,
Yeah.
where you have an ability to use something to assist police officers or assist kind of backup things. So thank you, and I just wanted to let people know, I'll pass it out to committee members, that it's a hard fact. Every year it comes out.
Yeah.
Thank you, Senator.
Yeah, to your point, Senator Carpenter, I have 6 of the top 10 most dangerous streets in the state. I have Silver Spring Drive, Fond du Lac Avenue, Appleton Avenue, Hampton, Good Hope, and Capitol. 76 and 60th Street as well. And, you know, we hearing the testimony, you know, from, you know, colleagues, the mayor, chief, hearing some of the questions that were asked. The reason that we need these tools is, again, to change human behavior. You know, officers are great, but, you know, we budget for 3 police classes of 65 people every year, and we average normally 25 to 30 that make it through a full training course. I think last year we had a net loss of 8 officers while every class fully starts at 65 officers. They don't start a class until we have 65 officers. So we had a net loss between retirement and people who just simply are getting hired and clearly not making it. So we are making full efforts and full intent to bring more officers on to the department. We are fully complying with with Act 12. Far as I voted against Act 12, honestly, because I just think the numbers wasn't there. But, you know, we are fully complying, and you know, where the money went to is clearly where the law states. We were able to reopen up 2 firehouses. With this budget, we're bringing on 3 new fire investigators with this. We increased the police budget. You know, there are some ways that we can work from within to make it better, and we're all open for suggestions and working in collaboration. But to just say that essentially we're pissing away the money is just not correct. I'll leave it at that.
Chairman, members of the board, let me just succinctly paint a different picture for you. My daughter just turned 22. She's a senior in college. I actually live in the 7th Automatic District, just outside of Councilman Chambers' district. So I live a block and a half north of Capitol Drive in the Midtown area off of 56th Street. That morning that Councilman Chambers talked about, I was on my way to the gym and I heard that large crash. I didn't see it, but I heard it. And that was unfortunately the death of the police officer. Now, my daughter got her license during COVID. She had the training from arcade, driving school, things of that nature. What's interesting is that with me and living right off of Capitol Drive, and for her to take maybe the shortest route to come home, she's 22 now. She got her license when she was 16. She refuses to drive on Capitol Drive. She refuses to drive on Fond du Lac Avenue. I watch my daughter on Life 360. So I know her whereabouts. and I trust her driving. And we've talked about this particular bill that we're discussing today. And I think it was mentioned earlier, yes, I am fearful oftentimes when my daughter is not at home. I do know that she will take every other route other than Capitol Drive and Fond du Lac Avenue. Let that sit in for a moment. Responsible, young adult, senior in college, got her license when she was a teenager at Wisconsin Lutheran High School, doing all the applicable things that as a proud parent we want our children to do. But let that sink in. She refuses to drive on 2 major arteries that could quite conceivably get her home sooner. So allow that to sink in while we discuss this particular bill and try to move this forward as a tool that we can use. Thank you.
Thank you, and I think it's important to recognize that the shortage of law enforcement officers isn't unique to Milwaukee. Law enforcement agencies across Wisconsin, across the country, are struggling to fill their vacancies. And we do have legislative priorities on record from the city of Milwaukee to encourage support from the state for law enforcement training incentives, training and recruitment incentives. And I hope that the appropriate committee will review those in due time as well.
Questions? Senator Waygard.
So, Cal, we put a couple of cameras up on Silver Spring. Your daughter's going to drive on that street then?
I believe that she would actually be more comfortable. However, I think, to answer your question, Senator Weingart, there is this behavior in Milwaukee that certainly needs to change. I think she's incredibly astute enough to recognize whether or not that paradigm has shifted. So,
I just wondered if that would be a faster change in the culture than, putting a couple of squad cars up there making traffic stops.
I think we've all heard from the police chief earlier today, and even from council member right here. I don't know if we actually have the resources to put officers on all of these corners that we've talked about. Senator Carpenter actually just outlined via his phone some of the worst areas in the city, and he said that he would provide that to you guys. So I don't know if that's the answer.
Sure, I don't know if you're going to, putting an officer on every corner is going to necessarily stop crime from happening, but if you have a visible deterrent that is up there making traffic stops, and that can be done on overtime, it'll pay for itself with citations being issued and people being pulled off the street. It could be done with NHTSA grant money that's out there and available, or through CBDG money, or through shared revenue that we've given the city to begin with. So I think there's ways of putting officers out there. You got a 10-man unit that could be out there. You've probably got people sitting in the offices that could go out there, even though you're short patrol at the PD. I mean, we worked with neighboring communities that brought their squads over, and we worked throughout that area, the joint ones. We just gave $20 million to the sheriff for the maintenance of the doing enforcement on the interstate in Milwaukee County. So, I mean, that's freed up an awful lot of resources and put more resources up on the interstate. So, I mean, it can be done. I'm just saying that potential is there. And I think as soon as we start looking at, and I see that we're looking at putting no more than 5 cameras in, putting
5 in every
5
aldermanic
in
district.
any aldermanic district, so we're not going to flood necessarily.
75 total.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, and 75 total, so that's a good start, but
But Senator, to your point, again, it goes back to human behavior, and it's also within the department as well. We have a significant amount of officers probably on light duty that are sitting behind the desk. Maybe you can't do it, but to your point, if you want to do deterrence, I'm a proponent of getting them into a squad car, letting them just patrol the areas or sit in the corner and be a deterrent, but it's not in the contract. That's something that we have to negotiate, but that's a hard ask.
someone's on light duty, it's a little more challenging if you're going to stuff them behind us.
But even if you just
Who
be
wheels
on the
a marked
corner,
car, you know?
instead of being behind the desk, you can be in the squad car but the corner. I would support that. I mean, you ain't got to go and chase them, but be a deterrent. You know,
I mean,
but
We've actually done that. There's been some state trooper cars in the past where they put them out on the interstate, just put them out there, and they had a blow-up doll behind the wheel in the car, so it looked like there was a trooper in it. Man, that slowed people down right away because you had a visible positive deterrent. But that's visible, and you're making them slow down that way. But the actual contact between the officer and that person, just like Senator Drake talked about. I mean, when you've got somebody that's getting a ticket and you're actually having a conversation, right now it's immediate. So there are ways that can happen with
Senator,
resources to bear.
Senator, and absolutely, you're correct that deterrence is part of the solution, and that's exactly what cameras will do. 75 deterrents across the city of Milwaukee that people will know this is not a place for reckless driving, this is not a place for speeding or running red lights.
And
So thank you for that.
Senator,
We can have that conversation, but all the data that I have shows that that's not accurate.
I would love it if you can send me that data. We can meet.
We can do that.
Absolutely. And Senator Hutton, I just want to just address something. You brought up a question about the investments that you made within the city. My district has the highest amount of traffic calming measures as far as bump outs, roundabouts. Those bump outs on Capitol, majority of them are in my district. I've seen them, I put them together myself. I've seen a truck literally run over the beam. It's frustrating, but it does work. A lot of people are getting extremely frustrated, like, I'm tired of having to make a wide turn, and like, well, stop using the right lane for a speedway. The bump outs have significantly dropped traffic crashes within neighborhoods significantly within my district just in the past year and a half alone, and we're continuing to make investments, whether that's we made a budget amendment, myself and former Alderman Mike Murphy, of $1 million for traffic calming measures to increase more bump outs, where we're paying 90% of the bump outs, where the residents are responsible for 10%. So a bump out in a normal bump out for every resident roughly costs about $100 to get in there, and those are heavily wanted throughout the city and our constituents. So we're really appreciative of the investments. We want the investments to come, and I can't speak of the past. I can just speak of 9 of us new council members are serving in the present, and we are striving to make good use to whatever resources come our way.
Other questions from the committee? Gentlemen, thank you all for being here. Thank
Much
you for your work.
appreciated. Thank you very much.
Probably see some of you tomorrow.
Back to work.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Next testifying will be Gloria Shaw, speaking in favor. Gloria, welcome.
Thank you. First off, I would like to thank you, Chairman
Okay. Take your time.
Tomcheski, Vice Chair Hutton, and members of the Committee on Transportation and Local Government for holding this public hearing on Senate Bill 375, which will authorize the City of Milwaukee to implement a traffic safety cam pilot program. My name is Gloria Shaw. August 28th, 2022, changed my life forever. My only son, Xavier Davis, was crossing the street on 6th and Juno, which is down by Pfizer. He was hit and killed by a Dodge Ram TRX with a lift and everything. These cameras may have helped me. My case is still unsolved. I have no justice. Nobody saw nothing. Nobody saying nothing. This could have helped me. This could have given me a picture of who did it. A capture of a plate showing me where the truck was going. I don't have anything. Today, as I sit here, I am the voice not only for my son, but I would like to be the voice for other parents, aunts, uncles, children of people who have lost their lives to traffic crashes. It took me a while to come here, but passing this bill will slow everybody down, not just in the inner city. It'll slow everybody down. So I would like to thank you all for having me here and helping me to get some more closure and apprehend the person that took my only child's life. Thank you.
Ma'am, I want to extend my condolences to your family's loss. Thank you for your bravery in coming and honoring your son's memory and testifying today. We see people who testify all the time, other aldermen, lobbyists and all that, but it really means something when the public comes, when the constituents come. So you're doing a great thing, so thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Jones?
I just,
Senator?
was your son a pedestrian, or was
Yes, he was a pedestrian
So, on the sidewalk crossing the street?
with the light.
So he was across the street with the light?
Yes.
Okay. And so were there witnesses that actually saw the offending vehicle then, or
I have
how do we
nothing.
know kind of what it is?
At this point, it is still an open case. So I am not privy to the information that you're asking me.
Okay. But you had an idea what kind of vehicle it was though, right?
It was all over the news.
So they had witnesses that saw the vehicle that hit your son then, right?
From what I understand, yes.
Okay. Well, hopefully they'll get him.
Hopefully.
Hopefully they'll get him.
Thanks.
Well, you know,
Thanks.
it's like, if it's gone a while, the longer it goes, the more difficult it is. And, you know, and I worked for a year on one case that was a pedestrian that was killed by a reckless driver. And we got him, but it took us a year of work to get that vehicle. And we got it when the offending vehicle was sitting at the boneyard getting ready to get crushed. So sometime, somebody's gonna know who that person was, and you'd be surprised how that little bit of information can help the department. Because they do have a traffic unit, you heard the chief. They've got guys in that are working those types of investigations, so don't give up. Do not give up, and continue to call them and ask them where they're at on.
I haven't heard from
Please
them
do
in
that.
2 years, but
And I really do understand, because I went to too many families to tell them that they lost a loved one, so our heart goes out to you. But don't give up, be faithful. They'll get them.
Any other questions? Yeah, thank you for being here.
thank you for having me.
Hang in there.
I can imagine, that's one of the most challenging things is
All right, next we will hear from Jessica Weinberg, speaking in favor. Jessica.
This is senseless. No, absolutely senseless. Absolutely senseless.
Uh-oh, you're bring it back up.
I'm Jessica
All right.
Weinberg.
Before you go too far, are all these people speaking, or is it just a support group?
3 people in addition to me.
Okay, when those people speak, please have them introduce themselves. We only have the ones with paper, okay? Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I'm Jessica Weinberg, the Vision Zero Policy Director for the City of Milwaukee. Dear Chairman Tom Check, Vice Chair Hutton, and members of the committee, thank you so much for having this hearing. So thank you again for having this hearing on Senate Bill 375, which would authorize the City of Milwaukee to implement a traffic safety camera pilot program. Under the mayor's leadership, the City of Milwaukee has joined a global movement and adopted the goal of 0 traffic deaths. We have and will continue to make numerous changes to reduce traffic deaths, from new street designs and updating our citation processing methods to many more things. And these changes really are working, and we're happy to share more data on that. But traffic deaths declining 7% from 2023 to 2024 is just the beginning of what we want to see. We are very proud of the 7% reduction, but we need to see faster progress. Traffic safety cameras hold that promise with an up to 47% reduction in injury-causing crashes. To identify next steps for what new actions we should take as a community, we conducted a Vision Zero action planning process. We interacted with over 2,000 residents to learn what people wanted to see. Via online surveys and in-person surveys, 62% of respondents to a survey said that they support traffic safety cameras. And so this is an element in our adopted Vision Zero plan that we want to see this law changed. We also learned that 72% avoid certain streets, as mentioned before, and 67% of respondents were fearful about drivers hurting them. This is an ongoing, everyday stress for people in the city of Milwaukee, whether you're the one that gets hit that day or not. Our crash data and survey data really tell the same story. Too many people are being hurt and killed, and it's affecting all of us. With the potential to reduce crashes significantly, we have to invest in prevention. We must advocate for traffic safety cameras, and we ask for you to vote for them. The long process to get here, this bill has been going for decades, does have a silver lining, and that's that this is the best bill that's been introduced so far. There's multiple appropriate safeguards and community input built into this legislation. This bill takes into account many community concerns that have been shared in past versions. I just want to highlight that some of these include requiring a public awareness campaign of 30 days in advance of implementation, plus 90 days of warning-only tickets. This really does help that little guy who accidentally went 15 over, which is hard for me to understand, but it gives an opportunity for people to learn. We want to change behavior. We aren't trying to maximize revenue. Issuing tickets on day one and not putting up a sign would be how you maximize revenue. Putting up signs that this program is here, it's at this intersection, giving 90 days of warnings, 30 days of public publicity, that is about behavior change, and that's the core of this bill. As mentioned, all citation revenue has to be directed to prevention efforts, and then, of course, there's the equity measure of having a maximum of 5 cameras per district for a total of 75. Together, these elements of the legislation create a behavior change-focused program that will save lives. We don't know whose life will be saved, but it could be any of us. Let's pass this for our children, for our community, for our city, for our state. We must employ any and all tools that can accelerate our progress, and we ask for your support on this bill. I'd now like to turn it over to some members of the team.
Before you do that, pardon my ignorance, but I wasn't aware of Vision Zero. How many people make up your group? How long has this been around?
Yeah, so we have 2 full-time staffers that work on Vision Zero, 2 outreach team members, and then Amanda here is an example of the deep citywide support for Vision Zero. So as the mayor said and the police chief said, every department in the city has a role to play in Vision Zero. So although our technical staff is only 2, people in every department of the city are dedicated towards improving traffic safety and eliminating traffic violence.
Thank you. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, thank you so much. And so with that, there's a few people like Gloria who have been directly impacted by traffic violence, but who weren't able to be here today, in part because it is emotionally difficult to come and do this. So I'd like to ask some members of the team to share those testimonies on behalf of some people that could not be here at the pleasure of the chair.
Please.
Introduce yourself.
Good afternoon. My name is Leslie Walker. I work with Jessica and the rest of the team. I will be reading Kathy Giorgio's testimony in support of Senate Bill 375. And she is from Waukesha. So thank you, Chairman Tomczyk, Vice Chair Hutton, and members of the Committee on Transportation and Local Governments for holding a public hearing on Senate Bill 375, which would authorize the City of Milwaukee to implement a traffic safety camera pilot program. I can't attend today, but I am presenting a written testimony so my voice can be heard. My name is Kathy Giorgio, and I am the widow of Michael Giorgio, who was struck and run over by a passenger van in downtown Milwaukee on January 17, 2024. He died as a result of his extensive injuries on June 19, 2024. Michael was crossing at the intersection of 6th and State to get from his job at MATC to his bus stop. Even though Michael was walking with the lights and within the crosswalk, a speeding passenger van struck him and directly then ran him over with all 4 tires. Michael suffered multiple skull fractures, a severe traumatic brain injury, a fractured T10 vertebrae in his back, broken ribs, and a broken left tibia, as well as losing the hearing in his left ear and sight in his left eye. The driver was not even tested for drugs or alcohol, and he was let go with only a citation for failure to yield to a pedestrian, a $73 fine. Michael struggled for 5 months and then passed away on June 19, 2024. I have experienced firsthand how dangerous speeding and reckless driving can be, even causing the loss of a life, a husband, a father, and a grandfather. These experiences have shown me the urgent need for stronger traffic safety measures in Milwaukee. Lives depend on it. Too many drivers are speeding, running red lights, and causing injuries or fatalities in Milwaukee. The city of Milwaukee experiences far higher rates of traffic-related injuries and fatalities than the rest of Wisconsin. In 2024 alone, there were 164 traffic crash fatalities statewide, and nearly half of them were in Milwaukee, where 74 lives were lost. One of them was my husband. Senate Bill 375 would give Milwaukee an effective tool to address the reckless driving crisis and save lives. Traffic safety camera programs have been proven nationwide to significantly reduce dangerous driving behaviors and are already in use in 29 other states. They are especially effective in urban areas where they have reduced injury crashes by as much as 47%. It is time to authorize the use of traffic safety cameras in Milwaukee and allow the city to pilot this life-saving program. Thank you again, Chairman Tomczyk, Vice President Hutton, and members of this committee for holding this public hearing on SB 375 and allowing me the opportunity to share my support for this important legislation. It is an absolute necessity. Sincerely, Kathy Giorgio from Waukesha.
My name is Amanda Richmond, and I work with the Milwaukee Health Department, and I will be reading a statement on behalf of Marian Wazerski. Thank you for holding a public hearing on Senate Bill 375, which would authorize the City of Milwaukee to implement a traffic safety camera pilot program. My name is Marian Wazerski, a resident of Milwaukee County. My church home is located at 1720 West Locust Street, Milwaukee, and 53206. I testify today as a concerned member of the community and a traffic crash survivor. On Sunday morning, September 4th, 2022, I was walking across Locust Street, intent on getting to church. I was struck by an auto rounding the corner at 18th and Locust. The driver paused briefly, I am told, and then fled the scene. My incident remains an open case to this day. My physical injuries were non-life-threatening, and my escape from permanent, incapacitating injury or death is a story to tell. While my aftermath is nothing short of a miracle, my joy is tempered by the reality that since my incident, far too many people have been hit and injured, and too often killed. My emotional and mental health has been assaulted by my daily experience of driving in the midst of others, driving too fast and too furious, treating their vehicle like a weapon which is out of control. My usual lively description of life in the metro Milwaukee area has been preempted by visions of makeshift memorials along the way, marking sites of traffic violence. Milwaukee is an especially deadly place for drivers, bikers, and pedestrians. Two behaviors I witness, and at times take measures to avoid, are speeding and running through yellow and/or red lights. These two behaviors are totally based on a choice which drivers make. As such, these behaviors can be stopped by drivers making better choices. The reckless driving epidemic in Milwaukee calls for a multifaceted approach, including engineering design changes, education, and enforcement. SB 375 offers an invaluable enhancement to measures already in place. What I like about this approach includes, 1, it's a pilot program, data-driven, choosing sites of high traffic injury and death with community input. 2, it'll provide reports and funds to further improve our traffic safety work. 3, it aims to redirect drivers by creating a structure to curb 2 totally preventable driving behaviors. And then 4th, it'll free up limited time of police officers on a force which is currently understaffed. This bill would give Milwaukee an effective tool to address our reckless driving crisis and save lives. Traffic safety camera programs have been proven nationwide to significantly reduce dangerous driving behaviors and are already in use in 29 other states with measurable positive results. It's time to authorize the use of traffic safety cameras in Milwaukee and allow the city to pilot this life-saving program. Thank you again, Chairman Tomczyk and Vice Chair Hutton and members of the committee for holding this public hearing on SB 375 and allowing me the opportunity to share my support for this important legislation. And that's again, Marion Wazerski from Wauwatosa.
And I'm Stephen Hunter on the community outreach team with Vision Zero. And I'll be reading Ruth Ehrgart's letter. My name is Ruth Ehrgart, and I'm Aaron Morgeson's mom. I'm here today in support of Senate Bill 375. A speeding driver ran a red light and struck Aaron as she waited to turn left, killing her and her unborn baby, baby M. They are gone for no good reason, with absolutely zero fault of their own. In Aaron's case, nearby cameras captured the crash. Those images told the brutal truth and helped bring her killer to accountability. But we know that many other speeding drivers run red lights, speed down our streets, and destroy lives without accountability, all because no one is there to witness it. This continues the epidemic. SB 375 adds technology to support officers, extending their reach so dangerous drivers can be held accountable even when officers are responding elsewhere. It's not a replacement for law enforcement, it's a tool that works alongside them, helping to hold speeding and red light running drivers accountable before they have the chance to take another life. I understand that some worry that this is more about money than safety, a way to raise revenue on the backs of the community, but that's not what this is. Every dollar collected first covers the cost of the cameras, and anything beyond that can be used only for traffic enforcement, safety education, and safer streets. Milwaukee residents will have a real voice in how cameras are used and how the data is protected. This isn't about revenue. It's about making our streets safer and preventing more lives from being lost. Photographing the driver is essential. In Aaron's case, the only video of the crash came from a nearby gas station camera, which showed who was behind the wheel. That image made it possible to identify and apprehend the driver responsible. This bill is fair. Driving is a privilege, not a right. When that privilege is abused, we must be willing to use every responsible tool to help keep the public safe. Thank you, each of you, for your commitment to finding solutions that make our roads and neighborhoods safer for all of us. Ruth Ehrgart, Aaron's mother.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing those stories. It's very important for us to hear. Are there any questions from the committee? Continue your work. Thank you. All right. Next, we will hear testimony speaking in favor from Mike, is it Ridgman? Looks like Ridgman. Did I get that correct?
Yeah.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony in support of Senate Bill 375, authorizing a traffic safety camera pilot program in Milwaukee. My name is Mike Ridgman, and I'm here on behalf of the Wisconsin Bike Fed. This bill represents a practical, data-driven approach to improving road safety, reducing dangerous driving behaviors, and saving lives in Milwaukee. According to the Wisconsin Department of Transportation, excessive speed was a contributing factor in nearly 1/3 of fatal crashes in recent years. Traditional enforcement alone cannot address the scale of this issue. Traffic safety cameras provide an effective tool to deter speeding and red light running, allowing law enforcement to focus on other critical duties while maintaining accountability for unsafe drivers. Communities across the country have demonstrated the proven benefits of automated enforcement. 29 other states have reported a significant reduction in dangerous driving behavior when similar legislation is implemented. Specific cities that have made use of safety cameras report reductions of roughly 40% in serious and fatal crashes, improved compliance with posted speed limits, and safer streets for all road users, including drivers, pedestrians, and cyclists alike. Importantly, Senate Bill 375 includes clear provisions for transparency and data privacy to ensure that implementation is accurate and focused on public safety outcomes. The previous speaker is the first person I heard mention that this is a pilot program. And as pilot programs work, we look at the data after 5 years and decide if we want to go on or not. We are not committing to this for life. Although highly unlikely if the cameras don't prove effective, we don't have to continue, but I have full confidence that the cameras will make Milwaukee streets safer, and continuing to make use of the cameras after the 5-year period should be an easy decision. Families deserve safer streets, and Senate Bill 375 provides a reasonable tool to prevent injuries and deaths before they happen. I encourage you to support this measure and move Milwaukee toward a safer, more modern transportation system for everyone who travels our roads. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for being here, providing testimony. Is there any questions from the committee?
Thank
you for spending your time. All right. Next, we'll hear from Dr. Jennifer Potts, speaking in favor. Did I say that right, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, distinguished chairman, vice chair, and committee members. Thank you for hearing my testimony. My name is Dr. Jennifer Potts, and I'm the executive director of the Center Street Business Improvement District in Milwaukee. My district spans from 29th and Center to 59th and Center. We have over 100 operating small business within our commercial corridor. I'm also a retired state of Wisconsin employee after 22 years of service. I'm also a service-connected, disabled, proud American veteran. I served in the United States Army. Senate Bill 375 matters to me and my commercial corridor because we see the effects of speeding and reckless driving on a daily basis. I'm not even going to say daily, I'm going to say all day. Vehicles speed down Center Street and tragedy occurs often. There are many times when I've called 911 and I honestly have seen more than I dare to mention in this humble location. If there's an accident on Center Street, it literally takes less than 5 minutes for the authorities to arrive. Both the police and the fire department will arrive in less than 5 minutes in my commercial corridor. There also could be hundreds of individuals that come out of their homes and out of businesses and that may be walking down the street that amass around these tragedies. There are many accidents that are seared into my memory. My business is on 38th and Center. I lived on 38th and Center for over 20 years. I live on 40th and Hadley right now, but my business, which is a small school, is still on 38th and Center, so I'm committed to the central city of Milwaukee. The only time that I left this great state of Wisconsin was to serve my country overseas 2 times and in the continental United States. But the one thing that I wanted to mention, the one memory that is very prevalent. About a year ago, there was an accident on 37th and Center Street. 2 cars collided. A young lady was ejected from one of the vehicles. The driver and the passenger from both cars got out and ran, which is not unusual. This young lady was alone as she laid on Center Street crying and bolting out in tremendous pain. A young lady sat next to her, right in the middle of Center Street, and comforted her. She was a good Samaritan. She took off her hoodie, she placed it on the victim's chest, and she held the victim as if she was her family. The victim was bleeding. The Good Samaritan was sitting right on Center Street with a bra on at this point. I ran into my house and asked my daughter to give me a blanket and some towels. My daughter brought down about 8 large blankets. I ran them over to both women, and I put the blanket and the towels on the victim and the lady that was comforting her. Both are sitting in the middle of Center Street crying. The authorities came. It took about 30 minutes for this accident to be cleared up. I profusely remember the authorities coming and sweeping up the glass, and they picked up my towels and my blanket from my house, which was filled with blood. The amount of blood on the street was incredible. The towels were put in bags, and the authorities took them away. Those were my favorite towels. Those were my towels that I use daily, both myself and my family. During the next days, weeks, and months, I found myself looking for and sometimes asking my family members out of habit where my towels were, one at a time. Where's my blue towel? Where's the red towel? That was my favorite. It took me a while to recognize the fact that my towels were no more, and that I prayed that the young lady did not lose her life. I don't think she did, because there were no balloons that followed. I have shared this and other stories with my PTSD therapist at the Zablocki VA hospital many times, and it's a memory that I will never forget. The towels are material. However, if the drivers had slowed down, paid attention to the rules of the road, this and other fatalities may have been averted. We on Center Street care about safety. We are partners with Vision Zero. We have promoted Vision Zero profusely. We stood on Sherman and Center with signs in our hand. There were 40 of us a couple of years ago and almost got hit by cars all day when we were promoting Vision Zero. We believe that Senate Bill 375 would be an effective tool in Milwaukee to address reckless driving and to save lives. I would be remiss if I did not mention Talise Dunmore, who came to my school, the Center Street Nail Tech Academy, as a 20-year-old young lady. She graduated from my school, and months after, she was killed on 76 in Good Hope by a reckless driver. Thank you again, Chairman, Vice Chairman, and honorable committee members, for holding this public hearing and for allowing me the opportunity to share my support for this important legislation. Thank you.
Ma'am, thank you for your testimony.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you for your service to this country, and thank you for your service to your community.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you spending time with us today.
Yes, sir.
Are there
Thank
any
you.
questions from the committee for Dr. Potts?
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, we'll hear testimony speaking in favor from Nick Jarmos. Sorry if I axed that name.
No, actually, that was a great show.
Oh, all right. Is that Irish?
Polish.
I know the feeling.
Well, thank you, Chairman and members of the committee, for holding today's hearing on SB 375. My name is Nick Jarmus, and I'm the Director of Public Affairs for AAA, the Auto Club Group. The Auto Club Group provides roadside assistance and other travel-related services to over 700,000 AAA members in the state of Wisconsin. For over 120 years, the safety of our members and other roadway users has been our top priority as an organization. We agree that visible traffic enforcement by police and other law enforcement officers remains the most effective means of deterring traffic law violations. But AAA recognizes the important role that automated enforcement can play in improving safety for motorists, pedestrians, and other road users by improving compliance with red lights and speed limits. We join other national groups such as the Governor's Highway Safety Association, the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, the National Traffic Safety Board, and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration in endorsing automated enforcement as a highly effective countermeasure based on a large and growing body of research and successful case studies from across the country. While there have been some less than successful case studies, we believe that the lessons of those is not that automated enforcement is ineffective, but rather that it must be done properly in order to be effective. Just as with any other countermeasure or enforcement strategy, it must be implemented thoughtfully and judiciously to achieve the desired outcome. AAA only supports automated enforcement when certain safeguards and best practices are included in a program's authorization or design, and we believe that those are present in this legislation. AAA recommends that jurisdictions that want to utilize automated enforcement first conduct a pilot program with a specified end date, after which a comprehensive assessment of the program's benefits and results has been conducted and published. SB 375 does exactly that. AAA also recommends that automated enforcement be utilized as part of a comprehensive traffic safety strategy that involves engineering, education, and traditional officer enforcement. The Vision Zero Action Plan adopted earlier this year by the City of Milwaukee checks all of those boxes. SB 375 also contains key provisions that AAA recommends to ensure that automated enforcement programs remain focused on safety and are not driven by revenue generation. Namely, the city will be required to publicize the program and provide motorists with ample warning before fines are collected. Citations will be reviewed by law enforcement officers before being issued. The city will not be allowed to compensate vendors based on the number of citations issued, and the program revenue will go into a segregated fund that can only be spent on traffic enforcement, infrastructure, and education. Earlier this year, AAA commissioned a poll of motorists over the age of 18 in the state of Wisconsin and found strong support for automated enforcement. Over 2/3 support red light cameras, and about 60% support general speeding cameras. If those speeding cameras are placed in school zones, support goes up to 84%. We believe that the time is right to let the City of Milwaukee utilize this proven tool in its fight to reduce and eliminate traffic fatalities. And we urge you to advance this legislation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your testimony. Questions from the committee? I appreciate you being here. Senator Weingart, you're up.
Nick, I got a question for you.
Sure.
Thank you for what you guys do.
Thank you.
Million-year member of AAA. Do you know of any jurisdictions throughout the U.S. that had cameras and pulled them out and banned them because they had problems with them? Other than Houston. I know Houston did that. They actually did a referendum to repeal that.
Right.
Do you know of any other ones?
There have been some, namely, I don't know if it was an abandonment of the entire program, but I know there was a situation in Iowa where there was a speeding camera placed right on Interstate 80, getting people right when they came over the river into the state. I believe that was taken down, and that's an example of a camera that was, not judiciously placed. It really was just generating revenue. There was no history of crashes or fatalities at that location. It was just put up, and it was just issuing tickets. I don't know if it was really changing any behavior, but if they took it down, it probably was for that reason. And that's why, we really don't, we support it as a concept, but that concept also has to be implemented in a very careful way. And we think that the safeguards and best practices that are built into this legislation check all of the boxes that we look for in an effective program.
Do you know if insurance rates went up or went down in areas where they put these cameras in?
I don't know off the top of my head the correlation there. I mean, there would be, doing a study like that would also have to control for the myriad of other factors that go into
I just
insurance
wanted to-
rates. Right.
AAA had experienced that
Sure.
because you guys do gather all that data.
Right.
So.
No, I'm not aware of. I will certainly look into that, and if I can find
Would you, if
anything.
you find something, let the committee know? I appreciate it. Thank you, Nick. Fine job.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Next, we will receive testimony from Ron Jansen, speaking against. Mr. Jansen. Welcome, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Ron Jansen. I'm an activist and advocate here in Milwaukee. I would just like to quickly say to Senator Weingard that I disagree with you generally on basically everything. I'm a socialist and a police abolitionist. But I hear in your questioning the search for a missing piece. And I'll tell you as a Milwaukee resident that that missing piece is that MPD doesn't do anything to stop reckless driving. And in fact, they are just as likely to participate as other residents in this city. They speed through our streets, engage in high-speed chases, and drive without concern for those around them, and park illegally pretty constantly. With that being said, I fear that the only bipartisan efforts that this city and state government can seem to come up with are new ways to punish and criminalize Milwaukee residents. There's no money for universal driver's ed or public transit, no support for minimum wage increases, to prevent people from having to race from one job to the next just to make ends meet, and no money for mental health coverage to help people manage their stress or support for affordable child care. These government bodies instead offer only pain, punishment, and incarceration, especially if those outcomes can be placed on the backs of people of color and the poorest people in our city. In Chicago alone, a similar camera network led to the extraction of about $33.3 million per year in fines just from black neighborhoods. Per year. So over 15 years, that was about $500 million in fines. Things got so bad with their program that for a while, the entire network was at one point shut down. I know because I was living there when that happened. And despite their camera network, which is now expanding, they too are seeing an increase in reckless driving-related injuries and deaths. These systems lead to a ton of downstream problems, like increased debt for families and other social costs that can be difficult to overcome. And yet they only provide a marginal improvement to road safety, especially when you consider the rise of rear-end crashes in enforcement zones. Clearly, there are better, cheaper, more robust methods that can be used to increase safety at a higher return on investment. And finally, I'd say that we should consider the massive cost of setup, maintenance, administration, and adjudication of such a system. The initial setup can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and monthly maintenance can likely run up into at least $10,000 a month or higher, especially as costs continue to rise. If you take all that in, you can recognize quickly that this will be sort of a runaway snowball of cost for the city. And yet not a single one of these dollars will go to improving the living conditions of residents before they get into their vehicles, leaving the conditions that create such antisocial driving behaviors in place, perfectly in place. In closing, it's clear that yet again, Milwaukee is being sold a raw deal by both its mayor and this state government. We need to ask ourselves, who benefits from these efforts? Which politicians? Which corporations? Because plans like these surely don't benefit the people of Milwaukee or Wisconsin generally. I do not support the plan to add these types of cameras in Milwaukee or anywhere else in this state. The people of Milwaukee don't need more ways to be punished. What we need is our fair share of state revenue and local control so that we can create our own future and invest in things like housing, healthcare, education, jobs programs, lead abatement, and infrastructure so that we might live dignified lives in this beautiful city. I ask that you reject Senate Bill 375. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Hold on, question.
Questions?
Yes, I forgot. There's a different body than I'm used to. I apologize.
Senator Weingard?
First of all, do you have that in a written form?
I surely could send it to you.
Could you send it to our committee clerk here, and he'll get it out to all of us so we have it?
That way it's entered into the record.
we do agree on something. So I do agree with a lot of those points. And I think it's important to remember the impact of a system like this to the local individual that we're trying to make safe. It doesn't necessarily make them safe from all the other impacts that occur, with the cost of fines, et cetera, and not dealing with the direct effect of the reckless driving. Do you think that putting up a red light camera or speed cameras are going to be able to stop the reckless driving?
Look, I share a lot of the
thoughts?
concerns. I share a lot of the concerns that the other people in this room do. And as I was sitting here, I thought, oh God, I'm going to be the only person against this. And that's difficult, right? But at the end of the day, what I'm advocating for is money being spent in places that will actually improve people's lives. People who feel connected to their communities, people who feel like they don't, like the lives of their neighbors, the other people around them matter, don't behave in the ways in which we see things happening, not just in Milwaukee. This is happening everywhere. And so, I would love to see the state fully fund public transit in this city. Our public transit system here is effectively meaningless. People can't use it even if the roads are too dangerous. Even if you decide, I don't want to drive in this city, I want to take the bus, you can't. It doesn't exist, not in an effective way for most people. And so I drive down Silver Spring, Capitol, Fond du Lac, roads that have been mentioned in here, and it's not great. I jokingly call them the Thunderdome. I know that might be inappropriate, and I apologize to the people who have lost folks on those roads, but that's what it feels like. It's like Mad Max driving down some of these roads. Do I think cameras are going to stop those behaviors? Absolutely not. If people in here were testifying, I've seen people run over concrete barricades, the bump outs. What is a camera going to do that a concrete bump out won't do? But where we disagree, Senator, respectfully, is I don't believe more police are the answer. I believe improving people's material conditions is the best way forward. So again, that is education, healthcare, jobs, transit, things that make people feel more connected to their community and improve the, I don't even know what the right word is, but just community involvement and people caring for one another.
It's all part of the puzzle. You're right. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Other questions? Thank you. And you're not the only one registered against. All right, we have a long list. We're going to keep pushing forward. Next, we're going to hear testimony from Joel Schultz, who is speaking in favor. Mr. Schultz?
How are you?
Welcome.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm a resident of the city of Milwaukee, and on this daily, and busiest intersections you can see. I know there's cameras, everything's great. I live on Fairview Avenue. I was on Park Hill and Hawley. I-94 is my backyard. Valvoline's my nightlight.
Oh.
Okay. So I get on the 60 southbound to go to Greenfield. This is where the kicker is. I get off on 5700 Layton Avenue. High school baseball diamonds right behind me. I cross the street, hit the waits for me to cross. Again, not being entitled, I hit the arrow, I've got the walk signal. This individual is encroaching, and it's doing all that. And I'm like, should I be a good guy and wait for this guy to make his left-hand turn? Or should I say, I got the walk signal and I'm gonna walk? Though I got my messenger bag under the chair, hits my messenger bag, front corner panel, drags along my body. I duck forward to not get his side window, side mirror. Cars behind him. The kicker, there's a Greenfield Cruiser behind him, SUV. Does nothing about it. No lights, no pursuit, no nothing. So is there a camera there, or is it just Greenfield?
glad you're still here.
I live in that same neighborhood you said you claimed. I mean, well, where?
I know where you're at.
You know, I mean, I've been back here for 18 years. You know, it's been Alpharetta, Roswell, Georgia. Well, MARTA, that transit system is amazing. And Milwaukee's come a long way because that connect is no joke. I'm hoping someday there's going to be a red line going from the airport to Bayshore, and a blue line going from Prospect, Wisconsin, to Barker Road. And if Waukesha will want it, which I guess they won't, drop it off at 123rd and make a big parking structure. That's it.
From the committee.
What did Greenfield say?
They did nothing.
No, but did you call a department?
No, I just.
Oh my
the
goodness.
police department didn't pursue him.
I would have followed that up with who that officer was.
And I agree with you. But when I saw this after the Brewer game yesterday on the late broadcast of the news, I'm like, I'm going to go down there and let you guys know about it.
Was that when it happened yesterday?
No, this happened last week, Tuesday.
Last week, okay.
Last week, Tuesday at 4:04. Transferring from the 60 bus to the 55 bus. All I did was cross the street.
Unbelievable. That is bad.
So, applaud the city of Milwaukee. Love you.
Thank you for being here, sir. Appreciate it, sir. All right, next we have, speaking against, this person has my handwriting, which is, it's either Dan or Don, and it's Thang, or yeah, I know, I got terrible handwriting, so. Welcome, sir.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Whenever you're ready.
I think this Senate bill here is insane. I think what we're doing in Milwaukee here, we're trying to fight an uphill battle with reckless driving, and that's understandable, but it's regrettable that we have to reach as far as the state to help us fight a local problem. And to hear the police chief here who ran up with the mayor talk about resources needed when he scuffs his nose at federal resources about immigration when offered that from the federal government. And he also scuffs his nose at the need of somehow believing that he doesn't need the National Guard to help pad his numbers as well, because that will put a lot of people back on the streets as well. And he needs to be outspoken about the normalcy that we've kind of deflated for having police now in schools. They don't need to be there. They need to be out policing. All these things in totality is just showing that Milwaukee is failing and is scared and it's running. It's trying to put bump outs here. It's trying to reduce speed limits here. It's trying to put islands here. It's transforming the roads and making it a trivial mess. And it needs to stop. And now they're trying to over surveillance everyone with cameras in the sky. What's next now? All your tricks have failed. They need to stop this. And they're throwing our good money behind bad people. This is the soundtrack that they're going, and this very well has gone too far. They haven't talked about how long this data is going to be retained, how many agencies have access to this, how much AI they're going to put on top of it, and certainly it's not going to stop at 5 years. It's going to be ratcheted up. We're dealing with a people problem. The young mother who spoke about her son, that's a problem that happened, but it's even worse that they kept going. This is a problem that we're trying to fight that's inside people's heads, and we can't legislate our way out of this. We're not North Korea. We don't try to change the way people think with policy. Our citizenship comes with a price tag. The government, the federal government has determined that our citizenship is worth $1 million. And you're talking about what's a right and what's a privilege. You better learn how to drive if you want access and citizenship in the best country in the world. And we need to get ahead of this. We voted to have people who look like us in leadership in Milwaukee.
Address this.
We voted to have people who look like us in leadership in Milwaukee. A black police chief, a black mayor, black common councils. They're supposed to be the people who remind you that these victims and these assailants are people who should look like their children. We shouldn't have to involve them. We shouldn't have to involve the city. This is a people problem. They need to get out in front of this. When people are getting out into their cars and driving reckless, the community has determined that is a problem that starts at home. It needs to end there. It is not our problem to keep throwing our money behind this, and these roads are only confusing people. I cycle all the time.
Don.
These new bike lanes are insane.
Time out. You're ratcheting up. and I won't tolerate that. I'm happy I'm
this is
happy to hear your testimony, but only if
we are
you
not guilty
keep your
of
voice
crimes.
under control.
We are not guilty of crimes. We do not need to be surveyed by cameras. We are not inviting Big Brother into Milwaukee. I'm surprised that Milwaukee's been singled out by this legislation too, by the way, and why the state is involved in this issue that only has Milwaukee on the radar for this legislation or this proposal.
Don, I need to speak to you a couple things, right? This legislation was brought forth by myself and a senator from Milwaukee, okay? This is a hearing. It is not a foregone conclusion that this is going to happen. But we are here to hear testimony from people who are in support and against, and this is
a
your
Milwaukee
time to
problem.
be against.
This is a Milwaukee problem. I get it that if it was a state problem, then it would be implemented across the state. It's just only singling out Milwaukee. So again, I'm speaking to us. Again, I don't think that needs to involve the state, to be quite honest. Again,
Appreciate that.
And it'd be imperfect that it's interesting how you support something that will only impact Milwaukee. What's your district? Is it Milwaukee as well?
No, sir, my district is up near the Wausau market.
Now, are you going to put security cameras in that market as well, or in those counties?
We don't have the same type of problems that Milwaukee has.
I'm seeing drunk drivers get caught and taking out lives there as well. I mean, this is a people problem. I mean, people drive reckless everywhere, unfortunately. I've seen roundabouts on country roads everywhere that shows that we have a problem driving across the state.
And again, I want to tell you that this was a request of a senator from
Well, I
the
think
city
this
of
is too
Milwaukee.
much. We are not going to be pawns under the police, this little surveillance state that you guys want to impose just because we're running scared from reckless drivers. We have to get in front of this.
Right.
I encourage folks to get from behind these little fancy suits and these teleprompters and these microphones and get out and talk to constituents and help law enforcement because...
All right, Don, I'm about to end your testimony. I brought this hearing to Milwaukee so that people from Milwaukee could testify on or against. Thank you. All right, next we're going to hear from, get my glasses on because she actually has good handwriting. Tina Ortiz, who is speaking in favor.
I want to say
Welcome,
good afternoon,
Tina.
everybody. It's a reality TV we just had right there. But I'm going to take a seat, but I want everybody to look at my physical appearance. Keep rolling. I am a survivor from a reckless drunk driver. I'm going to take a seat.
We're glad you survived.
Yes, I'm a fighter. So I'm going to survive. Oh, thank you. Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. I ain't had a gentleman push my chair in so long. Come here, let me kiss you. Let me kiss you, baby. Come here, let me kiss you. Mwah.
He's blushing.
Come on, give me a hug, Daddy. Come on.
You made a Marine blush. That was good.
Okay, apologies.
It's okay, Tim. It's okay.
It's okay with your fine stuff over there. Go ahead, you good. Tell your wife you need a nanny. Okay, my apologies.
It's okay. We need a little late.
Okay, my name is Tina Ortiz. I'm a 50-year-old mother of a 19-year-old daughter. My life was changed drastically April 6, 2018. I was hit by a drunk driver, also on drugs, the whole nine. According to the detectives, the way she hit me was perfect. They couldn't replay it, try to do it if they wanted to do it. This happened on Appleton and Capitol. Everybody know what a scrub dub is, the car wash, the KFC, the motel, all that over there. I was going westbound on Appleton, and she was next to me. And I looked over, I said, something wrong with her. So I backed up. So she decides to T-bone me and go the opposite way. And when she did that, she hit me, like the detective said perfectly, that I hit the median and I flipped 3 times. At 35 miles an hour, mind you. I wasn't speeding, she was. Had a seatbelt on. My car flipped the first time. I tried to release my seatbelt because it was tight. The second time I flipped, it got tighter. The third time I flipped, it broke my pelvis in half. My pelvis bone cut the main artery in my left leg. When I landed on all fours, airbags came out, but The metal part to the seatbelt broke off the door, it cut me over my left breast and ejected me out the windshield. So now I'm laying there on Capitol and Appleton. It's called Marion, I think it's Marion. I'm laying there. She took off. Left me for dead. That's a problem. If it wasn't for 3 law-abiding citizens that stayed, 2 stayed. There's a mother and daughter, which I found out later were nurses. That's how God worked. Put blankets on me, and she told her daughter, go get the car, block her, so nobody going westbound on Appleton to hit her and take her out. Mind you, the cameras, we had cameras there for this U.S. bill, Senate 375. They could have caught the license plate, the vehicle, or something. She took off, left me for dead, so we didn't know who it was or how it happened, and I didn't know anything. I know my body, I went into fight mode, fight, flight. I went into that mode to survive. The one citizen I haven't met yet, and this happened 7 years ago, he chased her, couldn't catch her. She came back to the scene and stood over me with her sister because she thought she killed me. That's a problem to me. Accountability was a big thing for me. That was my biggest thing, me fighting. I was in the hospital 4 months, in coma 2 months. So when I came into the hospital, I was raspberry dope because it was a crime. So cops had to keep my name secure. Pelvis bone sticking out, brain injury, kidney injury, liver injury. Had everything going on wrong. Had 10 percentile of living. But me being a fighter, me being God's child, I have a purpose. And for 7 years, I've been fighting this. I've been going to the Madison, and I teamed up with MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driver. I teamed up with Vision Zero. I teamed up with Families for Safe Streets. I just want something to change. These laws we have from 1906 BC, they gotta go. They gotta go. I'm looking at them like, yeah, this ain't gonna work. I just feel deep down inside, a little change will go a long way. Because I'm a very changed person. I'm an advocate. So my pain, I change into power. And I use my voice. And this is why I'm here today, to address everyone. You don't have control over what people's behavior is, but my incident and a lot of other incidents were from people making bad choices. I know this person did not wake up that morning and said, I'm gonna hurt her. I know that. I just want us to make a good choice, a right choice, a great choice to help. Because I'm out there on the streets, I'm talking all the time. I have prevented a lot of people from getting in their cars drunk. I see somebody out somewhere and they're belligerently drunk. Give me your phone, let's take a selfie. I'm going through the phone. Where's mom or dad? Bestie. Hey, I don't know if this is your son, daughter, but they're here drunk. I need you to come down here. Then I take pictures and sit them down and talk to them. I don't even know these people. Tell the bartender, man, that's enough for them. Let me take these keys. I just know by implementing this bill coming through will definitely help. It's not gonna take away people's behavior. It's just not. Because people are gonna do what they're gonna do regardless. Regardless. You see it with the police out there, you see it with it, even with the reckless driving. They just go. They don't care. I want to take a stand. I need help. I need help, guys. I need a lot of help out here. I can't do this alone. I need a lot of help out here. And anyway, I can stand on corners and hold y'all hands. I would. You might have to hold me a little bit because I can't stand too long. But I just need the help. And I think this is a one way of helping. Because if we did have the cameras there, they could at least got the license plates as you took off. Because when I'm in the hospital for 2 weeks, we had no clue who hit me. And my family, to go through that trauma of whether she's going to make it or not, and we don't even know who was responsible for what happened, that's a problem. So I'm just asking everybody to think about it.
That's what we're here for.
Think about it. And I'm in favor of it. Whatever goes, goes. I can't control it, but I can voice. And I want you guys to see who I am. You start seeing letters coming through. This is who I is. This is who I am. No, Miss Tina Ortiz. Anybody got any questions for me? Oh, my bad.
It's all good. It's all good.
Senator over there, you in that corner. What's up? What's up?
I'm writing your name down.
Okay, how you spell it?
And by not.
How you spell it, darling?
O-R-T-I-Z.
Thank you, baby.
And it's Tina.
Yes. We're going to go have a
Likes
drink.
Tim. Likes
Yes. It's TNT. It's dynamite. We blow it up around here. What you talking about?
Tina, thank you for your testimony. Thank you for your strength. Your positive mental attitude surely has helped save you.
Yeah,
We're
I just
glad
changed
you're
my
here to
power
be
to
seen and
power.
be heard.
Yeah, I'm here just to change my pain into power. And
Keep it
speaking
up.
is part of my power.
Question.
Senator.
Yes.
They obviously then latched onto this person that had struck you.
Mhm.
Any background on that person?
The justice system failed me terribly. It's called a slap on the wrist.
Were they revoked? Did they have a license, insurance, any of that?
This woman had no license, no insurance, so just imagine how that was on my end. I got nothing. I lost the whole left side, and she got to walk. That was the biggest problem I had, was accountability. So I had to learn to forgive. I forgive, but I don't forget. So that was my biggest thing. And to go into a courtroom and for somebody to get slapped in their wrist, it was a problem for me. It was a problem. But everything's happened for a reason. This is why I'm here. This is why I'm here.
Glad you're still here.
Yes. I ain't going nowhere. Y'all better look at me good. Come on, pull my chair out. Let me wait with your fine self.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Have a good one.
See, that's why we brought you along.
You did a good job.
All right, next we're going to hear testimony from my glasses on. Amber Miller, speaking in favor. Amber. Welcome. Thank you for your patience in waiting.
Well, thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Tomczyk and committee members. Thank you so much. So my name is Amber Miller, and I serve as the Senior Associate State Director for Community Outreach for AARP Wisconsin, also a Milwaukee resident. AARP is the nation's largest nonprofit, nonpartisan organization dedicated Okay, you can. Okay, great. Thanks. Sorry about that. So, empowering people age 50 and older to choose how they live as they age. So, AARP Wisconsin supports Senate Bill 375, which would authorize the city of Milwaukee to use speed safety cameras and photo individuals who exceed the speed limit by 15 miles per hour or more, or run red lights. This legislation aligns with AARP's Livable Communities Initiative, which promotes infrastructure and policies that make cities safer and more accessible for people walking, biking, and using public transit. It also supports Vision Zero and Complete Streets policies, both of which aim to create safer, more accessible roads for older adults, individuals with disabilities, and families. As part of our Livable Communities work, AARP Wisconsin conducts walk audits across the state, including in Milwaukee, to assess pedestrian safety and street accessibility. During these audits, volunteers use speed guns to monitor traffic, and it's alarming, common to record vehicles traveling 60 miles per hour in 30 mile per hour zones. In one audit, over 75% of the drivers exceeded the speed limit by at least 15 miles per hour, underscoring the urgent need for traffic calming measures and enforcement tools like speed safety cameras. In 2022, I personally witnessed an older adult being struck by a vehicle in Milwaukee's Amani neighborhood, which is located in 53206. This was a life-changing moment that led AARP to partner with the community to install a temporary traffic calming circle. But that was only the first step. Older adults are affected by pedestrian fatalities, especially at intersections and along arterial roads. Automated enforcement, as proposed in SB 375, has shown to reduce speeding and red light running, two leading causes of pedestrian deaths in urban areas. And I should say the gentleman lived, thank goodness. He was 75 years old, prosthetic leg, going to a funeral, trying to cross the street and hit by a car. The driver did stay, which was really great, but definitely excessive speeding. Just lastly, 31 states, including the District of Columbia, permit safety cameras, and the number of U.S. communities using speed safety cameras has nearly tripled over the past 15 years. Cities that have implemented automated systems report significant reductions in crashes, lower injury and fatality rates at high-risk intersections, greater compliance with speed limits in school and senior zones. So we please support SB 375 to make our roads safer for drivers and pedestrians who walk, bike, and use other modes of transportation. So thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for your testimony. Questions from the committee? Again, thank you. Appreciate your time. All right, next we will hear speaking in favor, Octavio Padilla. Octavio here? We may have overworked his patience. All right, we'll move on. Speaking in favor, Rebecca Rabatin? Rabatin. Sometimes I speak English. Welcome.
Sorry, I have to check because I'm a former ADA coordinator and I chair the I'm a Wisconsin ADA Coordinator Association board member. So effective for communication and being heard, and I do wear hearing aids, so I just want to make sure. Can't take it out of me, I'm sorry. Thank you, Chairman Tomczyk and Vice Chair Hutton, he's not here? Okay.
Going to go to the next meeting.
And also all committee members for holding this here in Milwaukee. This is Milwaukee-centric, so I appreciate that. On hearing Senate Bill 375, which would authorize the City of Milwaukee to implement a traffic safety camera pilot program. My name is Rebecca Rabatin, and I am currently the Community Access and Legislative Policy Analyst for Independence First. Independence First is one of 8 centers of independent living in the state of Wisconsin, and our center serves Milwaukee and the WOW counties, which is Waukesha, Ozaukee, and Washington counties. As a center of independent living, we are tasked by the federal government under the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 to help service people with disabilities and in being able to live and recreate in the community that they live in. And we have 5 core services that we're to provide, one of which is advocacy. And with that, with me being a community access and legislative policy analyst, I hear from the community regularly on their concerns, and also one of the bigger concerns is transportation and the built environment and their safety. I have many coworkers that fear just crossing the street due to reckless driving. Some of it is design. Can we get across fast enough to get to the other side? Because sometimes those people don't wait, those drivers, for even people with wheelchairs or even white cane users. I've been out with them, that people are bothered having to wait for persons with disabilities just to cross the street. It's a shame. So with that, with Independence First, I had mentioned that we're one of 8. All of the 8 centers in the state of Wisconsin are part of the Wisconsin Coalition of Independent Living Centers, and I do know the executive director, Jason Glozier, provided a letter of support to this committee in support of Senate Bill 375. Now, I wanted to get away from the professional end of it, and I'm going to get to why I support this on my personally. Chief Norman had talked about a vehicle being a 4,000-pound weapon, and it is. Personally, I have had 3 different experiences due to reckless driving. In 1974, my sister was 18 years old. She was driving home from work, and a reckless driver ran her out of the lane, and she went across the median and was hit by 3 cars. She died instantly. It had a profound effect on my parents. They were never the same after that. Years later, in 1986, my younger brother, who worked for Nevada DOT, different states I understand, but there were no cameras and no police officers watching at the time, what was as far as traffic control. My brother was walking, crossing the street with the light. A gentleman, young man, ran the light, hit a car, spin around, that car spun around and hit 2 other cars, and my brother was a pedestrian in a 3 cars spinning around, throwing up 30 feet in the air, hit the embankment. Luckily, the car behind the car that did run the light was a nurse, and she stopped and worked on my brother until the paramedics got there. My brother was on the operating table for 12 hours. His heart stopped twice, and he had suffered significant damage to his body. He had rods and plates in his left leg, rods in his arms, 87 pins for an elbow, and a big bolt holding his shoulder into his arm into his shoulder blade. Took significant amount of physical therapy for him to walk again. In 2012, a week after coming back from vacation from Yosemite, like I just did on Monday, again, I better not cross KK. I was crossing the street on crossing Kinnickinnick when my boyfriend yelled, "Car!" and we were crossing with a light. He pulled my arm, and I was just skimmed by a very large pickup truck. I did have a lot of soreness, but I had no damage. So now that I think, and I just came back from Yosemite, I'm going to stay away from Kinnickinnick for a while. So with that, I do believe that maybe cameras can help, at least help the police know when to maybe assign officers to an area, anything to help control reckless driving. I know too many people with my coworkers who fear crossing the street. I unfortunately experienced my own within my family, and there are just too many people speeding and running red lights, causing injuries and fatalities here in Milwaukee. So I thank you, and I hope that you will support Senate Bill 375. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your story and your testimony today. Appreciate it. Questions? Good. Thank you, ma'am. Be careful out there. All right, we will hear now, speaking in favor, Sean Moore. Mr. Moore.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for your patience today.
Patience is a virtue, right? So, first, good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Sean Moore, and I do violence prevention and safety in the city of Milwaukee. I have my own consulting firm, and I've worked with ARP and Center for Independence, Vision Zero. Even more so, I work with the families of the victims. Okay. And I sit here not just as a supporter of Senate Bill 375, but as a parent, a neighbor, and a human being who refuses to accept preventable loss as normal. Every parent knows the sound of a knock at the door. Most of the time it's harmless, but there's another kind of knock, the one that freezes your blood before you even open it. The knock that delivers words no mother, no father, no grandparent should ever have to hear. I'm sorry your child isn't coming home. That knock steals futures. It empties dinner tables. It tears families apart in ways that never truly heal. And here in Milwaukee, too many families already know that sound. You've heard from several survivors. I speak for those that don't survive. SB 75 gives us a chance to stop more of those knocks before they come. It gives us tools that don't get tired, don't get distracted, and don't look the other way. Cameras that slow drivers down before a child is struck. Cameras that stop cars from flying through red lights before another life is taken. And a system where every dollar collected goes back into safety, into protecting lives, and not lining pockets. This isn't about punishment. It's about prevention. It's about choosing safety over speed, lives over convenience. And this isn't just about policy. It's about people. This bill assures us, at least gives us the chance to assure that families make it through the night, through that knock at the door that night. That you don't get a knock on your door one day, and that I don't get a knock on mine one day. It's about the mom walking her baby in a stroller. It's about the elder crossing to the corner store. It's about the teenager headed to school. And it's about making sure that they all get home safely. That's what SB 375 is about. When you pass SB 375, you won't just be voting for a bill. You'll be writing yourselves into the story of lives saved. Years from now, people won't remember the roll call votes. That's not going to be remembered. We know that. But families will remember that your courage, because of your courage, their child made it home. That's what this is about. Preventing the loss of lives. And I've heard testimony today. You know, I'll be at the World Day of Remembrance. I'll be there. But I want us to be honest with ourselves. Many of us gonna leave here feeling like we got a victory if this bill is passed, if this pilot is passed. But there's parents that never feel like they'll ever get another victory, ever. In 5 years, we hope to come back and say, look at the data, look at the lives saved. And if you do pass this pilot, that doesn't mean that the work stops. That means that we have a stronger responsibility, our collective responsibility to the victims and to their families. That's what the passing of this pilot does. It's not going to fix it. It means that we got more work to do, but we got a foundation to build off of now. We got answers that we can give to parents, right? Sometimes, hugs don't work, right? And there's some answers that are never enough. But as people that sit in these chairs that make these decisions, you got an opportunity to give life back, to save lives, and to give parents who have lost their hope some hope for a better tomorrow for another parent, because no parent wants to see another parent suffer, and these parents suffer until the day they die. Give them a semblance of a victory back in their lives. That's all this is. I know that the bill is not going to change a lot, but it's a start. It's a start. And collectively, we can build off of that start. So, with that, I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Appreciate your testimony.
Yes, sir.
Very, very heartfelt.
Yes, sir.
Senator Carpenter, any questions?
No questions.
Senator Weingart?
No, I'm good.
Sir, thank you. Appreciate it. Next, we will hear from Steve Smith, speaking in favor. Mr. Smith, thank you for your patience. You've been here a long time, too.
Someone said patience is a virtue. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson, Vice Chair, and other senators. I'm not representing an organization. I'm a resident of the city. I live near UWM. And I strongly support SB 375. I oppose the dramatic and alarming increase in reckless driving that I observe day after day. Besides, I prefer reckless, W-R-E-C-K, reckless, no wrecks. We need a pilot program for automated speed enforcement systems like the red light cameras at problem intersections. The media bombards us with images of tragic, traumatic crashes with many killed or injured. People may think this does not affect them. However, increasingly, like cancer, the completely unacceptable behavior touches the lives of many, many people. Many approaches are needed to address the rampant, dysfunctional driving behaviors. Red light cameras are definitely not the answer, but they're just one important tool among the many different strategies that must be launched forthwith. I also support Vision Zero, which has successfully reduced crashes, fatalities, and vehicular violence in dozens of cities throughout the world since it originated in Sweden in 1995. So in Vision Zero crashes, regarding fiscal impact, red light cameras will be less expensive than some of the traffic engineering approaches. I would hope that we could explore creative funding support, camera intersection naming rights, community funding, public interest group funding, crowdsource, GoFundMe, whatever. Research the successes and the best practices in other cities in the states and around the world, and make sure that the citation revenue is allocated for traffic safety. So please pass this bill. I also favor increased funding for police officers, and I appreciate you having the public hearing in Milwaukee and helping with some brewer wins. Maybe you used your influence, but
I'm sure this was.
Second that motion. So, thank you.
Appreciate your time and your testimony, your patience. Questions? Questions? No, we're good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, next we will hear from speaking in favor, Kevin Otto. Mr. Otto.
Good afternoon,
afternoon. Please excuse my appearance. I just heard about this meeting, so.
You're welcome, sir.
I've been a proponent for traffic cameras for probably 15 years. I've been rather vocal. As a matter of fact, Senator Carpenter, you probably got some emails from me a long, long time ago. Not recently, long, long time ago. And I've been pretty vocal with our Aldermanic District about. In my job, I've traveled the United States and Canada for 30 years working with law enforcement. I've talked to many of them, people that I knew that were street cops, traffic cops, went up through the ranks, are now chiefs and sheriffs and retired. I constantly had asked him about the success and possible negatives about this stuff. And as Senator Weingard states, putting 5,000 cops on the street is kind of, to me, a reactive situation, not a proactive situation. Does it help? Sure. This idea, if you will, this trial period, enacting something will support, I believe, the reduction in a lot of things that have happened. If we would have considered something like this 10, 15 years ago, that it was brought up, seriously considered, we may not have heard some of these tragic stories that we did today. I looked at the sheet. There are a lot of these intersections that are on the north and northwest side. I am a resident of the south side, 9th and Oklahoma area. We have a public grade school 2 blocks away from me. We have deemed Oklahoma Avenue the Oklahoma 200. It's constant speeding, reckless driving. And reckless driving, I use that term loosely. Is this out of control? Is it maybe not even manageable anymore? I would say it's a big one. When I cut my grass on the weekend, it takes me about a half an hour. And I live again on Oklahoma Avenue, so it's main thoroughway. 9th Street intersection is 75 feet away from me. As a game now, I go out there and I watch traffic as I'm heading west, cutting the grass. I watch traffic coming east. At least 7 to 10 cars blow the red light, and not a yellow to a red, the red light, as I'm cutting the grass. So that's a half an hour. Multiply that times an hour, times, let's be conservative, 10 hours in a day. How many blown lights do you see? How many possible tickets could be issued if we had a camera type system? I also experience this stuff day in, day out. Have any of you folks gotten experience with these popper mufflers that are out there now on these cars? Thank you, Senator.
Yes, I'm working on it.
Thank you. Then you and I should talk, please. You can hear these suckers coming 4 or 5 blocks away. Again, I live right on Oklahoma, 2, 3 in the morning, constant. And what you have to do with these things is your car needs to speed and then brought down quickly, or your foot off the gas to make these pops happen. I even reported this several times working with our older lady, and her assistant, who lives about 4 blocks away, says, Kevin, I can hear these things as well, 4 blocks away. The sad thing about that is that she even brought up the point that they sound so much like gunshots right outside your window that she fears that police are reacting to these as gunshots, and then they're being taken away from the actual incident that may be happening, gunshots or something like that. So a different way to think about and approach this stuff. I have experienced when I sit on my porch, it's an entertainment for me now on the weekends. And often it happens, is it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? No. It happens periodically, spotty. That's why I think cameras will do that stuff. We all heard the term, when the cat's away, mice will play, right? If we have a SUV, police SUV come by, world is perfect, everything's beautiful. As soon as they're gone, boom, fireworks start, everything happens again. I have experienced cars in just this past week when I was out there, I would say at least 70 miles an hour heading east, goes beyond the traffic stopped at 9th and Oklahoma intersection, goes into the biking lane, comes speeding down from 10th Street, heading east, and blows through the red light and continues around all the corners. This happens often, often, often. I have also experienced the point where people who are abiding by our new redesign, if you will, of the Oklahoma Avenue area, cars will be set back maybe 15, 20 cars in back because traffic gets heavy for people going in there, and that does reduce the speeding and that does help. But then you still have these crazies that do that. They'll go into the oncoming traffic lane. So as you're heading west, they'll go ahead and they'll go, as you're heading west, they'll go into the traffic lanes coming east to pass all these people that are abiding by the miles per hour that are there. But anyway, I know it's been a long, long day. It's getting late. I'd be happy to talk to anybody about anything. And these are just some of the experiences. Like I said, I live this stuff. I see it. It's happening. Again, deterrent, yes. 100% immediate solution, probably no. Taking the bite out of the cancer is going to help, but I think over time, I've got some other ideas about the popper mufflers, Senator Weingart. I'd love to talk to you about that. So thank you very much for
Thanks for taking time to come testify. It has been a long day, but it's important to hear the stories.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Any questions from anyone?
Got your name written down. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Moving on. We will hear, speaking in favor, Peter Hurdle Meerus? Roy's? Oh. Peter's patience ran out.
You can listen. It's not just registered in favor.
Let's stay on this list here. Rona Fields? Rona Fields. Speaking of here, Rona's here.
Come on down.
I'm just a little stiff. I've been sitting too long.
I'm going to be walking like that when I get up, too.
Yeah.
I hear you.
It's not from an accident.
I feel you.
Not a car accident. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rona Fields. I am, this is my first public hearing, and I want to thank you for this because I've been asking for this for such a long time. I am here representing my community. I live on 74th and Marion, right off of Capitol. And I just want to touch on three things. On my way here today, I probably witnessed at least 3 or 4 vehicles run the red light. Driving down the street in my community, I see a bumper, I see parts of a car, I see glass on a daily basis, almost at every intersection. Reckless driving has impacted someone either here directly or indirectly, whether it is a friend, family. It's almost like a lawless city when you're out there driving around. I'm getting older. I'm nervous. It's nervous for me to drive. It's not safe to drive, walk, or even sit on a bus stop in my community anymore. I travel a lot. I go to other cities. They have the cameras in place. Respectfully, Senator Weingart, I want to speak to something that you said today. I was in Chicago driving down Western. Evidently, I was speeding. I received a letter in the mail. It was a warning letter. It wasn't a ticket. And it stated that the speed limit is this. They had my car, my plates. It was me driving. This is a warning. If you got caught speeding over there again, you're going to get a ticket. I don't speed not only on Western in Chicago, I don't speed in Chicago or here anymore because I want to make sure I'm contributing to the safety of others. And I can't be a part of the solution if I'm out there speeding myself. I believe it is a deterrent. I believe it can correct behaviors because I'm an example. It's definitely not going to eliminate the problem, but it will assist in helping curtail some of this because it's not just people that are stolen cars or running from a crime scene that are running these red lights. It's people driving to work every day. The expectation that a patrol car or officer can stop all this at this time is unrealistic and also unattainable. Meet us where we're at. Let's do something now to try to help this and curtail this. Technology will help with this, and I'm sure those cameras will help with this. Last but not least, I've not heard anything mention this except for a question from Senator Wangard. This has driven my insurance premiums up sky high. And no one's touched on this. I just want to touch on this. I can't afford for my insurance to go up another 100 to 200%. I'm disabled, and I can't afford that, and nor can my community afford that. So I think this will help us overall not only deter crime, stop reckless driving, stop people from running red lights, have people safe if they're using other means of transportation. I am all for it, and I hope you guys, I implore you to pass this bill. It's going to help us all.
Ma'am, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing.
Been here a long time.
Amen. Wonderful. Any questions, Senator Carpenter, Senator Wanger?
Thanks, Ron.
You're welcome.
Thanks for your
Guys, have a
patience.
good day.
Thanks, Ron.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Next, we will hear testimony from Barry Weber. The lottery. Mr. Weber, thank you for your patience.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you all for just doing this. Y'all are pretty amazing at how you can sit here this long. I was kind of in the back, like, okay. But yeah. I'm just here representing, my name is Barry Weber. I'm representing both PBAC, the Pedestrian Bicycle Advisory Committee for the city, as the vice chair. We are unanimous in our support for this legislation, and I'm also president of the historic Concordia neighborhood that is bordering 27th, 35th to Wisconsin Highlands, just near the Miller Brewery, where again, we're one of the densest neighborhoods in Wisconsin, and all my neighbors I've talked to just say this legislation will be a huge improvement in their lives. So I've already prepared, I know the day's been going long, I've already prepared with my respective committees and boards 2 letters that have been submitted. So I do just want to, while I'm here though, touch on, I've been following the discussion the last couple hours, and Senator Vongard, you had mentioned earlier on with Chief Norman the discussion of a real police officer and how that could be a much better deterrent than a camera. And I hear that, and it made me think of, I don't have this in my statements, but it made me think of a story of when I was, this is 20 years ago, I'm fresh out of college doing my American road trip, borrowing my dad's F-100, and I'm driving through Pennsylvania area, and I'm not used to their tollways. I think it's like Illinois tollways, and I just run through, they have the more stuff at the time, the more advanced stuff, I guess, but I run through one of the tollways without paying. And at the time, I'm like, oh, whoops. And keep moving. And about a day or 2 later, my dad calls me as I'm still out in Pennsylvania, and he goes, "What the heck is this? He already got something in the mail or something that said, we just took a picture of the license plate of your truck, and now you owe this much money." And again, I wasn't trying to be reckless, but I remember his words. He said, "I'm fit to be tied." And I tell that story because, would an officer, or a state trooper pulling me over in that moment have had an effect? Absolutely. But I know for me also at the same time, to this day, if I'm on the tollway anywhere, I'm extra cautious. I'm like, okay, because there are cameras, there are this. So, like I said, I know that's just my own little story of and that's just me. Everyone's different. But if I'm putting myself in other people's shoes, if I'm still going back to being 20 years old and not driving as carefully as I would now, I could see where still getting something in the mail, or my dad getting something in the mail saying, "Hey, when you borrowed my car, what happened on 27th and Kilbourne," or whatever, I could see how that would still affect me in a way, personally. So I do just want to say, the discussion has really been great. I thank you all for your patience in listening to everyone here, and strongly support what's being talked about here with this legislation, and best of luck.
Thank you. The letters you brought were entered into the record? We have copies of them?
I sure hope so, yeah.
Did you give them to the...
Yeah. Yes.
We've got them in provision.
All right, good.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you for your patience. Any questions?
All right.
Sir,
thank you all.
You're released.
All right.
All right. I hold in my hands the final two. So, don't you bring me any more. All right, we'll hear from Joel Brennan, speaking in favor. Joel.
Good afternoon.
Welcome, sir.
It's nice not to be Mr. Irrelevant, but to be close. I want to first of all thank the chairs and the member of the committee and welcome you to Milwaukee. I want to thank you for taking your time to gather local input about additional tools that can be deployed to combat reckless driving and the drivers who make Milwaukee streets more dangerous for other vehicles, for pedestrians, for bicyclists, and truly keep us from being who we want to be. As mentioned, I'm Joel Brennan, president of the Greater Milwaukee Committee, which is a 200-member civic organization whose members represent the private, nonprofit, higher education sectors in Greater Milwaukee. For nearly 8 decades, the GMC has worked on major issues in our community in partnership with public sector leaders, and I'm here today to support the efforts of the City of Milwaukee to gain additional tools to make our streets safer. As members of a committee that has local government in its name, you certainly have an acute understanding of and appreciation for the partnership that exists between state and local government. While I don't know all the members of the committee from my time in state government, I do know that at least some members have experience in the public sector at the local level. Several of you supported efforts 2 years ago that put that partnership between state and local government in very much the spotlight. Local leaders statewide, including right here in Milwaukee, as well as partners in the civic and private sectors, banded together to encourage you and your legislative peers to increase funding for the state shared revenue program for every local unit of government in the state. And we also convinced you that Milwaukee should have the authority to raise revenue through a local sales tax. That effort was a shining example of bipartisan recognition of the partnership between state and local government. With the committee's focus, your own experience, you know that communities need a suite of complementary tools to combat reckless driving. In Milwaukee, that means investment of millions of dollars, often supported with resources from the state and federal partners, to create narrower roads, implement speed limiting infrastructure, and create other physical barriers to speed. It also means increased law enforcement. As all of you are aware, Act 12, which, as I mentioned, increased shared revenue and enabled Milwaukee to raise local revenue through a sales tax, also required a significant increase in uniformed law enforcement personnel over the next decade. Even with that, and acknowledging that it is difficult to fill law enforcement positions anywhere, there will never be enough cops on the street to enforce in the way we need and want. Thus, we're compelled to look at technology to support and complement these other efforts. The proposed legislation authorizes the City of Milwaukee to utilize technology that can assist law enforcement and local government in gathering data, having another set of eyes on the street, and holding lawbreakers accountable. It's interesting, one data point that I have heard mentioned a couple of times today is that studies have shown that when you implement these types of cameras that there are increases in rear-end accidents in those places. And I've looked at studies and that's similar. But those same studies or others usually note that what you're doing oftentimes is trading T-bone accidents for rear-end accidents. And there isn't someone among us, someone who's here today, that wouldn't trade gladly a trip to the body shop for a trip to the hospital or to the morgue. So I think that's the kind of thing that we're talking about when we're looking at implementing these cameras. In Milwaukee, we have good, committed leaders who want to make things better for people who use our roads, and we have people who you've heard from today who also support that. In the spirit of partnership, I hope that you and your colleagues in the legislature will grant Milwaukee the authority to consider automated law enforcement as one of the many tools that can have an impact. I want to thank you again for coming to see the situation in Milwaukee on the ground. On behalf of our 200 GMC members and as a city resident, I support these efforts, welcome a chance to work with you to pass this in this legislature and have it signed into the governor in this session. Thanks very much.
That was not irrelevant, so it was well done. Thank you. No questions?
Thank you.
Appreciate your time, sir. Thank you for being here. All right, I hold in my grubby little hand the final person testifying in favor, Mr. Robert Schneider. Mr. Schneider? I guess we ran out his patience as well. So,
registering in favor.
All right, we have a list of people registering in favor. Representative Todd Novak, J.J. Sherman with MMAC, Octavio Padilla is registering in favor, not speaking. Alexander Pendleton with Wisconsin Milwaukee Business, registering in favor, not speaking. Stefan, is that an H or a D?
Duster, Huster?
Durder, Huster, on 34th Street, Milwaukee, not speaking but in favor. Jeff Sponcia, in 36th Street, Milwaukee, registering in favor. Angela Marion, 38th Street, registering in favor. Ebony Marion, registering in favor. And William Braden, registering in favor. So, this concludes everything for our hearing today.